There are many incidents in history that seem ordinary, just accidents or strange coincidences. But hidden among them are events so unsettling and terrifying that people still whisper about them to this day. From mysterious disappearances to real-life horrors caught on tape, these are some of the most unsettling incidents ever recorded. Make sure to like this video and subscribe right now, because the next disturbing story might be even darker than you expect. At first, the video retells the infamous creepypasta about Soviet scientists in the 1940s who tried to keep prisoners awake for weeks. Locked inside a sealed chamber and pumped with strange gas, the subjects started off calm before descending into madness. Their bodies and minds began breaking down in terrifying ways. What started as an experiment for knowledge turned into a nightmare no one could control. Check this out.
The Russian sleep experiment. It's one of the most disturbing stories on the internet, and it happened in the 1940s in Russia. Russian researchers locked 5 political prisoners in a chamber. They were promised freedom if they stayed awake for 15 days. To make sure they didn't go to sleep, the scientists pumped some type of gas. Everything was fine at first, but by day 5, everyone started breaking apart. They completely stopped talking to each other and started whispering and speaking to the walls. By day 9, one of the prisoners yelled so loud that his vocal cords literally tore apart. And the others started mutilating themselves, tearing their own organs out with their own hands. The scientists completely panicked and they decided to open the chamber, but what was inside wasn't human anymore. The survivors were begging for the gas to be turned on because they were so used to not sleeping. When they asked them what they were, they said, "We are what you hide from when your eyes are closed." Let me know if you heard about this disturbing story.
Watching this honestly gave me chills. The thought of being awake for days is already horrifying, but seeing it spiral into something inhuman makes it worse. The part that unsettled me most is how scientific it all sounded, like it could have really happened in some hidden lab. Even knowing it's just a creepypasta, I couldn't shake the feeling after the video ended. Experiments gone wrong make for terrifying stories, but legends don't always need science to feel real. The next case proves that sometimes superstition alone is enough to create fear. Ela Campion incident. Birthdays are supposed to be a celebration of life, but in 2006 one family in Ontario saw it turn into something unimaginable. Ela Campion, caught in a bitter custody battle, filmed her 2 daughters laughing and playing just days before tragedy struck. That same week, she ended their lives inside their own home. What made the case unforgettable was the haunting contrast between joy on camera and the horror that followed. Here it comes.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
On October 4th, 2006, in Ontario, Canada, a 911 operator picked up a call from a soft-spoken woman who said just 6 chilling words: "My children are dead." When asked what happened, she calmly replied, "I don't know. I don't remember." Police rushed to the apartment in Ontario and were met at the door by 31-year-old Ela Campion. She showed no emotion. When asked about the children, she simply said, "They're on my bed." Inside the bedroom, officers found 2 little girls, 3-year-old Serena and 19-month-old Sophia, laying side by side. They were dressed in clean pajamas with tiny necklaces and earrings. Their bodies were cold, their skin already turning blue. There were no signs of struggle, no obvious cause of death, but then officers found the camcorder.
Hi Serena, it's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday Serena, happy birthday to you. Serena's 3 today, yay! What do you think, Sophia? Will you sing happy birthday? No?
I'm 3.
You're 3 today. Yay! Shall we go to the living room and see if you got any birthday presents from the birthday fairies?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
I have to go.
What is it?
It's a bike.
What are you watching, you?
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. How does Mama love you?
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that.
That video felt like any proud mom filming her kids until the last one, recorded just 2 nights before the murders, and everything changed.
You can't see through the camera, boo-hoo. Oh, yes, this is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diogo Campion is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins. The same as Leonardo. All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campion, and in the past year from Anna and Diego Campion, the mental and emotional abuse, which wouldn't stop, and I had CAS keep bringing these 2 people into my life over and over again when I kept telling them the amount of mental and emotional abuse it was causing my 3-year-old daughter Serena and I and Sophia. It was horrible and uncalled for, and I want justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me, the assaults he did to my oldest daughter Serena, and they did nothing for us.
Elaine ranted to the camera about her abusive ex-husband, Leo, the custody battles, and how no one will protect her daughters. She looked broken, paranoid, and minutes after that video ends, both girls were dead. Police later found one last recording, Elaine's confession.
Recording this because Leo and there, are you happy? Everything's gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. I begged. You even had Stacy not believing me, telling her I had to sign papers when I didn't. I went to victim witness to get the truth. Trying, begging everyone the truth. How you beat me 3 years behind closed doors, beat me when I was pregnant with Serena and Sophia. You didn't care about our babies, you didn't care about me, you care about yourself. You wanted to win, you won. Are you happy? How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? Because it doesn't make me feel great. I've lost everything my whole life.
Elaine was arrested that morning and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with a chance of parole after 25 years.
This story hit me harder than most. Seeing the birthday video made everything worse because it showed such normal, happy moments right before tragedy struck. It's horrifying to imagine how quickly love and safety can turn into something so dark. Watching this case unfold left me with a heavy, unsettled feeling that I couldn't shake off. When innocence is destroyed, the story never truly leaves you. The next case takes that same feeling of loss and twists it into a legend people still fear today, their attack incident. Timothy Treadwell believed he was one of the bears. For 13 summers, he lived unarmed among Alaskan grizzlies, filming himself petting them, naming them, even calling them his family. But in 2003, he broke his own rule and stayed past bear season when the animals were starving and aggressive. That decision would cost both him and his girlfriend Amy their lives. Let's roll it.
If I show weakness, if I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
This man was eaten alive by a bear. This is Timothy Treadwell, a man who believed he was one of the bears. But Timothy wasn't some grizzled outdoorsman. He was a former bartender from Long Island, New York, who had once dreamed of becoming a famous actor. He even auditioned for the TV show Cheers, but when he lost the role to Woody Harrelson, everything spiraled. Heartbroken, Timothy fell into a deep hole of alcoholism and substance addiction throughout his 20s. At one point, his addiction got so bad he nearly died from an overdose. Searching for a way out, he escaped to the wild and became obsessed with Alaska grizzly bears. But Timothy didn't study them from afar. He lived with them. For 13 summers, he camped in Katmai National Park, walking up to massive wild grizzlies, sometimes even petting them. And somehow they let him. To Timothy, the bears weren't dangerous. They were his family. He believed he was protecting them and that they loved him for it. But rangers warned him again and again. These bears aren't your friends. You're trespassing into their world. And one day, it's going to end badly. In the summer 2003, Timothy decided to break his own rules. Instead of leaving at the end of bear season like usual, he stayed deep into October when bears are starving and aggressive, desperate to survive before hibernation. And this time, he wasn't alone. He brought his girlfriend, 37-year-old Amy Huguenard, a physician's assistant from Colorado who loved nature but was terrified of the bears. The two set up camp in a place called the Grizzly Maze, one of the most dangerous parts of the park. No weapons, no bear spray, nothing to protect them. Timothy told friends he wasn't worried. He said the bears knew him and that he was cool with the bears. But nature doesn't care what you believe. On October 5th, when the pilot arrived to pick them up, he immediately saw a massive bear, bigger and more aggressive than the others, pacing around the campsite. The pilot fled and called for help. When rangers arrived, they walked into a nightmare. The tent was destroyed, the ground was torn apart and scattered across the site were the mutilated remains of Timothy and Amy. Nearby, the same massive bear, a starving old male, was guarding the area. When it charged, rangers were forced to shoot it. But then they found something even more chilling. Inside the torn up tent was Timothy's video camera. The lens cap was still on, so no video, but the audio had been recording. For 6 minutes, it captured the sounds of their final moments. Timothy screaming that he was being attacked, Amy yelling at him to play dead, the sounds of her desperately fighting the bear, striking it with a frying pan, Timothy crying out that he was dying, and finally, silence. The tape has never been released publicly. Only a handful of people have ever heard it, and they say it's one of the most horrifying things imaginable.
This case left me with mixed emotions. On one hand, Timothy's passion for the bears was undeniable, but on the other, it was clear he was blinded by it. The fact that there's an audio recording of his final moments makes it even more haunting, knowing it exists, but never being able to hear it adds a terrifying weight. After watching, I couldn't stop thinking about the thin line between love for nature and its unforgiving reality. Nature doesn't bend to human belief, it crushes it. The next story isn't about the wild, but it's just as merciless in the way it leaves its mark. Christina Grimmie shooting incident. Fame can feel like a dream, but for Christina Grimmie, it ended in the worst possible way. After gaining millions of fans on YouTube and shining on The Voice, she was stepping into a career full of promise. In June 2016, during what should have been an ordinary fan meet and greet, that dream was shattered. A man with an obsession turned her final moments into one of the most shocking tragedies in music history. Take a look.
This is Christina Grimmie, and in 2016, she was a 22-year-old talented singer on her way to stardom when her life was tragically ended. In 2014, when Christina was 19, she finished in 3rd place on season 6 of The Voice. Her coach was Adam Levine. On Friday, June 10th, 2016, Christina was performing at the Plaza Live in Orlando, Florida. It was her last concert before she was set to head home to Los Angeles to spend time with her family and her friends. It was about 10:30 p.m., a half hour after the concert ended, and Christina was meeting with fans that had backstage passes. Christina stood at this merchandise table talking with fans and taking pictures. This is 27-year-old Kevin James Loibel. He was one of the fans in the crowd and had driven 100 miles to the venue from St. Petersburg, Florida. He arrived that night with 2 handguns and a hunting knife.
I couldn't help but feel a deep sadness watching this case. Christina wasn't just talented, she was genuine, and that made her connection with fans so real. The thought that her kindness put her in harm's way is haunting. It left me reflecting on how fragile even the happiest moments can be. Tragedies like this remind us how quickly joy can be stolen. The next case carries the same weight, showing how fame can sometimes attract dangers no one is prepared for. Mackenzie incident. Late-night car rides are supposed to be safe, just friends heading home after a party. But in Mackenzie's case, that drive turned into something much darker. Instead of dropping her friend off like planned, she veered off onto an empty road at dangerously high speed. The crash that followed revealed a series of choices no one expected, and investigators soon realized this wasn't just an accident. Watch closely.
Did you hear about the Mackenzie incident?
Mackenzie Sharilla, guilty of murder.
This girl, Mackenzie, her parents got called to the hospital. She was been in a terrible car accident. Yeah. What they didn't know, what police were about to tell her, she's a mass murderer. Whoa. This is the whole story. This is what happened. She was at a party with some friends. They were doing whatever. They drive from the party house to go to somebody else's house and just to hang out. It was her friend, and her boyfriend. And they're all watching like South Park, you know, late night. Yeah. They're still kind of, one of the guys, her friend said, could you drop me home? Since they were still like sloshed from the party, the two guys, they fell asleep. One of them was in the back seat, the boyfriend was in the front passenger. What they found out, using like the GPS tracking on their phones, the direction she took went away from the friend's house and made a detour down a different road. What the tracking showed was that she was going like 90 miles per hour into a middle of nowhere, into a wall. Damn. The boyfriend, the friend, she survived miraculously. She was the only.
Watching this story left me uneasy. You expect danger from strangers, not from the person sitting behind the wheel. The GPS data showing that sudden detour gave me chills. It felt deliberate, not random. After the video ended, I couldn't stop picturing how quickly trust can turn into betrayal. A detour on a dark road led to tragedy here, but the next case shows how horror can strike even when you never leave home. Tragic Six Flags accident. The video tells the story of a day at Six Flags over Georgia that ended in tragedy. A 17-year-old and his friend went into a restricted area near a roller coaster, climbing over 2 security fences. What seemed like a reckless shortcut turned deadly when the coaster hit him at full speed. Instead of fun and laughter, the park became the scene of one of its darkest accidents. Time to play it.
A tragic accident occurred at Six Flags over Georgia when a 17-year-old was decapitated by a roller coaster traveling at 50 miles per hour. He and his friend ignored multiple warning signs and climbed over 2 6-foot fences to enter a restricted area. They were attempting to take a shortcut through the park when the speeding ride struck him, instantly separating his head from his body. The incident serves as a grim reminder of the importance of safety barriers and following park regulations.
This case hit me with a mix of shock and frustration. Shock because of how fast everything happened, and frustration because it didn't have to end this way. Watching it made me realize how often people underestimate safety signs, thinking they don't matter. After the video, I couldn't stop replaying the thought of how preventable it all was. One reckless decision changed everything here. The next case shows how tragedy doesn't always come from ignoring rules. Sometimes it finds you even when you do everything right. Zarya Carr incident. Most live streams are meant to entertain or connect with an audience, but this one was different. What began as a couple sharing their frustrations in front of the camera slowly spiraled into a dark, unsettling confrontation. Accusations flew, tempers rose, and soon it was clear viewers weren't just watching an argument. They were witnessing something far more terrifying. Dare to watch this.
On June 14, 2025, a young mother went live on Facebook with her husband. What followed would torment viewers and leave a dark mark on the world. Zarya Carr, a 27-year-old influencer, and her husband Jean-Marc, a Frenchman Carr, a bulldog breeder, had built their lives online as a perfect couple, happy family photos, candid moments with their 2 children, and the kind of relationship that seemed unbreakable. But behind the scenes, their marriage was falling apart, and that night, everything came crashing down. For nearly an hour, they aired their dirty laundry for all to see. They both accused each other of cheating, shouting who betrayed who first. But then it got darker. They each claimed the other gave him an incurable STD. As their argument escalated, the livestream took a terrifying turn. Jean-Marc grabbed a knife. "This is the type of bitch that gets beat," he said, the blade flashing in his hand. Zarya nervously laughed, asking, "What, you about to stab me?" Jean-Marc's response was chilling. "If I get off this life, you ain't gonna make it out the door." Zarya's nervous laugh turned into disbelief. "Damn, I gotta die about that?" And then the live stream cut off. Minutes later, police arrived at their Georgia home. Inside, they found Zarya unconscious and severely wounded. She was later pronounced dead at the scene, stabbed by her husband. Jean-Marc had fled, taking her black 2021 Dodge Challenger with him. A statewide alert was issued, and just after 11 p.m., deputies spotted the car. After a brief chase, Jean-Marc turned the gun on himself and shot himself in the car, dying from the self-inflicted wound.
That video left me with an eerie, hollow feeling. The way it unfolded so casually at first made the ending hit even harder, almost like a trap that no one saw coming. Knowing that thousands of people were tuned in live, powerless to stop it, makes the whole thing even more disturbing. It doesn't feel like just a tragic story, it feels like a nightmare burned into the internet forever. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, the next case takes disturbing to a whole new level. This is St. Louis exorcism house incident. In 1949, one of the most infamous exorcism cases in American history took place in St. Louis, Missouri. A 14-year-old boy known by the alias Roland Doe reportedly began experiencing terrifying phenomena, objects moving on their own, strange voices, and even levitation. What followed was a month-long battle that blurred the line between faith, fear, and the supernatural. Witness it right now.
One of the most famous exorcisms in the United States was conducted in 1949 in St. Louis, Missouri. An exorcism was performed on a 14-year-old boy named Roland Doe, who had been experiencing strange phenomena such as levitating and speaking in tongues. After a month of intense exorcism rituals, the boy was believed to be cured of the demonic possession. The exorcism was conducted by a Catholic priest named Father William Bowder, who was assisted by 2 other priests and a doctor. The exorcism was documented by a reporter from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and the story gained a lot of attention from the public. The story was later made into a movie called The Exorcist, and this is...
Hearing about this always gives me chills. The fact that multiple priests and even a doctor claimed to witness his unnatural behavior makes it feel less like a rumor and more like a genuine mystery. What unsettles me most is that a boy of just 14 years old became the center of something so dark. It makes you wonder how much of the story is exaggeration, and how much is terrifyingly real. That exorcism shook an entire city, yet it's nothing compared to the next disturbing story, acid attack incident. Revenge can be blinding. In this case, it was aimed at the wrong man. Andreas Christoforos, a young father from the UK, answered his front door expecting nothing unusual. Instead, he was met with a splash of acid from a stranger who had mistaken him for someone else. In just one moment, his ordinary life was shattered. Here comes the horror.
29-year-old Andreas Christoforos had just become a father when a man he'd never met arrived on his doorstep. As soon as he opened the door, Andreas was hit in the face with battery acid. The substance instantly began burning through his skin and clothes. In excruciating pain and complete shock, Andreas called for his wife to call the police. Andreas was rushed to hospital where he managed to share enough information about the attack before falling unconscious. Police were baffled as to why a seemingly innocent man had been the target of such a horrific attack.
Every millimeter of our life, they went through looking for a reason that wasn't there.
After an extensive investigation, David Phillips was arrested and charged with carrying out the attack. It was discovered that the 48-year-old had driven 300 miles across the country to get revenge on someone who had allegedly sexually assaulted a loved one. However, Phillips had arrived at the wrong house.
He believed he was attacking the person who committed the assault.
Phillips was originally sentenced to a life sentence for the attack, but ended up spending 8 years in prison before his release.
It's terrifying how fragile safety really is. Andreas wasn't involved in anything. He was just in the wrong place when someone's anger boiled over. To me, that randomness is scarier than any planned act, because it means something like this could happen to anyone. The story sticks with you because it shows how easily life can be destroyed by a single mistake. Mistaken identity turned one man's life upside down, but the next case reveals a horror that was no accident at all. Valkyrie's draining incident. Nighttime streams can create some of the most unexpected and unnerving moments. For Valkyrie and her friends, what was supposed to be a simple trip to an amusement park quickly spiraled into something they hadn't planned for. A stranger began following them, pushing for attention, and soon the stream turned from entertainment into a real-life safety scare. The clip begins here.
The Valkyrie incident that happened.
Stop! Whoa, whoa!
Fight right now.
What? Get away from
now.
Hey, what's going Security! On? He's harassing us.
Right now. Are you right now? Are you right now?
They decided to go to an amusement park at night. First mistake they made, no security. 3 of the biggest girl Twitch streamers, I know, Christina, Valkyrie, and Emu. Yeah. So they go, and then they see a guy. The guy's named Russell.
Proposal?
Yes, please.
Oh, God.
Oh God, yes, that is.
When they first seen them, it was chill. It was like I seen a clip of him like on his knees.
Can I sing for a change? A change for the better, as you would say.
Okay.
But then right after, when they're about to leave, he's like, "Can I sing for you for your number?" They're like, "No," right?
And the change would be for her number.
Oh.
If you like it, can I get your number?
I don't have a phone.
Wait, put your number in mine.
I don't know how to use a phone. I'm sorry.
Wait, so I'm gonna keep following her.
Huh?
They say no, and then later in the stream, they see him again. Now they start calling security.
Yeah.
This is what he crashes out. He said, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hey, stop! Whoa.
Fight right now.
What? Get away from
now.
Hey, what's going Security! On? He's harassing us.
What's going on? What's going on, man? Right now. Kill you right now. Right now.
Security!
There's no security. The cameraman has the on the girls because he's trying to block the guy.
Seeing that unfold made me realize how helpless live streaming can make you. The audience is there, watching in real time, but they can't step in when things cross the line. The unease in their voices was obvious, and it felt like the tension could break at any second. For me, that's what made the clip so unsettling. It was raw, unpredictable, and very real. What happened to Valkyrie and her friends was a chilling reminder of how unsafe the real world can be, and the next story shows an encounter even more disturbing: Diogo Jota incident. Fame and success can make someone seem untouchable, but tragedy doesn't choose its victims. On July 3, 2025, Diogo Jota was on the road in Spain with his younger brother 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗋 𝘀𝗋. Heading for a ferry to the UK, what began as a quiet midnight drive turned into disaster when their 𝗀𝗀𝗋 Lamborghini's rear tire suddenly burst, sending the car off the road in a fatal crash. Dare to press play.
The tragic story of Diogo Jota's heartbreaking car accident. It's been the early morning of July 3rd of 2025 as the Liverpool football star Diogo Jota and his younger brother 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋 𝘀𝗋 were driving along the 𝐴52 motorway in Spain. They were on the way to the UK, but because flying wasn't an option as Diogo just had undergone minor lung surgery and was told not to fly, they were on the way to the port of Santander to take a ferry to the UK instead. The drive started off normally. The road was quiet, the weather was calm, and life was perfect, while Diogo was also freshly married with his longtime love, 𝗀𝗏 Cardoso. Mile after mile, everything seemed peaceful, until all of a sudden, as the clock hits 12:30 in the night, everything changed. While they were driving, all at once, one of the rear tires of the Lamborghini burst at high speed. Diogo lost control of the car instantly. He couldn't regain the grip, and only seconds later, the car all of a sudden veered off the road and crashed. The impact was violent, and the car immediately caught fire. Diogo and 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗋 had no chance to escape, and by the time the emergency services arrived at the scene, it was already too late. Diogo Jota and his brother 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋 were already dead. Rest in peace, and always drive safe.
Hearing this story feels unreal. Jota had just started a new chapter, newly married, recovering from surgery, and looking forward to the future, only for it all to end in an instant. It makes me realize how fragile life can be, no matter how successful or strong someone looks from the outside. For me, that's what makes this tragedy so haunting. The shocking end of a football star's journey is heartbreaking, but the next case shows a kind of horror that feels even harder to process: Metheny incident. Some of the darkest crimes don't just shock people, they disturb them for life. In the mid-1990s, a man named Metheny turned his anger and addictions into something far more horrifying. What began as a broken relationship quickly spiraled into a series of brutal crimes that left an unforgettable mark on true crime history. Time to see it.
You won't believe what this guy did to people. Let me explain. In 1996, a homeless addict named Metheny lived in a city where drugs and alcohol were everywhere. After struggling to find a job, he eventually became a forklift driver and met a wonderful lady that was also an addict. They ended up falling in love, getting married, and even having a kid. But here's where the crazy parts happened. Joe and his wife eventually lived in a trailer home with their new child. But one night, Joe came home from work and everything was gone. Yeah, his wife left him with their 6-year-old child and all of her belongings. He was furious until one night he went looking around for his wife and kid and even started asking strangers where they went. And if they said, "No, I don't know where they went," he murdered them. And he kept murdering people until one day he needed a little bit of extra cash. So what did he do? He turned all 10 of his victims into burgers and sold them on the side of the road for people to eat for almost an entire month. And his last words were, "I'm sorry will never come out of my mouth." Subscribe for more crazy stories and get me to 1,000,000.
That story is on another level of disturbing. The way his personal rage escalated into violence and then into something even darker feels almost unreal. What unsettles me most is how long it took for his crimes to come to light while people had no idea what was really happening. It's the kind of case that sticks with you long after you hear it. Metheny's crimes were terrifying. But the next case shows that sometimes reality can be just as chilling as any horror movie. Joanna Lopez incident. Television glitches are usually harmless, but sometimes they hide something far more disturbing. In 1989, Chicago viewers witnessed a chilling broadcast, a black screen, a grainy photo of a girl named Joanna Lopez, and the word missing. No explanation, no context, just an image that has haunted people ever since. This is the moment.
Have you ever seen a broadcast so disturbing it left you with more questions than answers? In 1989, a very disturbing emergency message aired on TV in Chicago. A black screen, white text, and a very disturbing image. A grainy image of a teenage girl by the name Joanna Lopez. No details, no explanation, just the picture and the phone number. And the word missing. Then all of a sudden, it cut to black. To this day, no one knows who submitted the image. There are no missing persons report by the name of Joanna Lopez. It was like she was just a ghost. But the real question is, was it a real disappearance or just a joke? What about a broadcast hijack? Some people believe that this was a coded message, and others say that the photo isn't human at all. Whatever the truth is, Joanna Lopez has never been found. And the same image kept popping up year after year. So who was Joanna Lopez, and was she really missing?
What unsettles me most is how ordinary it looks at first glance, just a still image on a TV screen. But the more you think about it, the creepier it becomes. There were no missing person reports, no record of Joanna ever existing, almost like she was a phantom created just to disturb people. To me, that makes the mystery far scarier than any confirmed crime. The Joanna Lopez broadcast left viewers questioning what was real and what wasn't. And the next case blurs that line even further, Canal 5 featuring Rocky incident. Children's channels are supposed to be harmless, but in 2020, viewers of Mexico's Canal 5 were confronted with something entirely different. At exactly 3 a.m., instead of cartoons or lighthearted content, their screens filled with bizarre and unsettling clips. From glitchy footage to a man aggressively eating while staring at the camera, it was nothing like what people expected to see on a kid's channel. Let's start the horror.
Canal 5's disturbing children's channel. In 2020, Mexico's Canal 5 started doing some very disturbing things. At exactly 3 in the morning, their Twitter account started posting disturbing things. Not cartoons, not funny things, disturbing things. Like glitched footage and a man eating on camera. Very aggressively while staring directly at the screen. The music was something like a lullaby, but it was twisted and odd. One video showed what looked like a children's puppet show, but the puppet had disturbing human-like teeth. It laughed, but the audio was reversed. Some viewers say that the audio said, "Eliminate them all." However, by sunrise, everything vanished. Everything Canal 5 posted on the Twitter vanished. There was no record on the official page, just creepy screenshots. Some say Canal 5 was hacked, but they never confirmed anything. But the people that got to experience these disturbing things at 3 in the morning were completely horrified.
That broadcast genuinely creeps me out. The puppet with human-like teeth, the reversed audio, the man staring while eating, none of it feels random. It's almost like someone carefully crafted it to disturb anyone who stumbled across it. To me, that's scarier than a simple hack, because it suggests intent. Canal 5 turned bedtime TV into something terrifying. But the next case shows how fear can strike in an even more unexpected way. Chilling White Lady Road incidents. Campus ghost stories are easy to dismiss until you hear them from people you actually know. At a university volleyball training session late at night, a group of students were running drills up and down a staircase. But on one of their sprints, they reached the top and froze. A woman dressed in white stood silently, staring without saying a word. Now comes the proof.
Bro, this is mad creepy. This is from my cousin as well, my other cousin. They all go to the same university. For volleyball, they did like a training where they would have to run up the staircase.
Okay.
Right? They're running the staircase, like doing kind of their drills. Keep in mind, like when the extracurriculars happen, this is after school hours, so it gets later, it's at nighttime. Yeah. And they ran up, boom, 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 boom. Do the next drill, go down, do, 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 do. Come down, right? They ran back up, do, 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 do. And when they get to the top, they see this woman, and she's just non-verbal. What? She just stares at them, and then they're like trying to talk to her, and she didn't say anything. So they ran back down, like, okay, let's continue our drill.
Yeah.
Walk back out. They see the wolf.
For me, that's one of the creepiest kinds of encounters. No jump scare, no sound, just pure silence. The fact that the figure simply stood there makes it so much harder to dismiss. You can explain noises or shadows, but a woman staring without a word. That's the kind of detail that keeps me up at night. There are many strange incidents people witness every single day. Accidents, disappearances, mysterious events that defy logic. But hidden among them are stories so haunting and terrifying that they continue to disturb anyone who hears them. Tonight, we're diving into some of the most haunting incidents ever recorded. Make sure to like this video and subscribe right now, because the next haunting case might be even darker than you expect. Imagine walking past a bus stop and spotting a teddy bear, nothing unusual, right? But in Victorville, California, the stuffed toy was anything but innocent. What looked like a child's toy was actually stitched with something terrifying, what appeared to be human skin. Footage shows investigators carefully handling the bear before sealing it inside a bag, and the sight is chilling.
Alright guys, we got some breaking news. A teddy bear covered in human skin was just found at a bus stop in Victorville, California. Alright, so here's what happened. San Bernardino County deputies were called to the AMP and convenience store at Bear Valley Road and Amethyst Road after someone reported finding an object that appeared to be covered in human remains. I mean, this is a close-up of it, and it looks like somebody sewed skin onto it or something, but it was left right outside the convenience store. The coroner's office has since picked up the skin-covered bear and is doing an investigation as we speak. So authorities did cordon off the area, and there's a video floating around with the coroner with gloves on, gently turning the object around while examining it, and then putting the teddy bear-shaped object in a pink-colored plastic bag. I got no interest in watching it, to be honest with you. Now, there's only two probabilities here. One, this is just some sick prank, or two, there is a madman on the loose. Either way, it's weird and it's disturbing. Like the video, comment down below. Don't forget to follow me. Talk to you later.
Watching that footage was deeply unsettling. Seeing investigators carefully turn the bear over, knowing what it was supposedly covered with, made my stomach drop. It doesn't feel like just a prank. It feels like something far darker hiding in plain sight. And as disturbing as this teddy bear was, it's not the only case that left people unsettled. The next story, one lunatic, one ice pick, might be even more haunting. Some videos aren't just disturbing, they feel cursed. Back in 2012, one clip surfaced that was so infamous, people still whisper about it today. Its name? One lunatic, one ice pick, and what it contained was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Dare to watch this.
May 25th, 2012. On this day, a truly horrific video is posted online to bestgore.com. The video is titled, One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. It shows a man who is tied up in bed being stabbed with an ice pick. The man is alive at the start of the video, but it becomes clear that as the 11-minute video progresses, he has drawn his last breaths. After the man has been stabbed close to 100 times, the murderer then dismembers the body with a knife. He also sort of fillets part of the leg and cuts chunks, significant chunks from the body with a knife and fork. As well as this, the individual attempts to have intercourse with the dismembered body at various points, and also then it results in decapitating the body. During this time as well, it's important to note you can hear kind of a dog barking in the background, and at one point later in the video, although it's an 11-minute video, a dog can later be seen chewing the body's flesh.
Even hearing the details is enough to leave you unsettled. The cold atmosphere and the sheer cruelty behind it make it feel like a nightmare preserved on film. It's not something anyone can easily shake off. But if you thought this was disturbing, the next case, Travis the chimp attack, might be even harder to forget. Not every horror story comes from the internet, some play out in real life. Travis is a chimpanzee once famous for appearing in movies and commercials. But in 2009, he suddenly turned violent, attacking a family friend in a way that left the world shocked and terrified. Here's the cursed clip.
So a lot of people are upset with me because I left out some key details when talking about the brutal attack of Travis the chimp. For context, Travis was a 200-pound male chimpanzee and he appeared in many movies and TV shows. But on February 16th, 2009, Travis brutally attacked one of his owner's friends, which led to an extremely disturbing 911 call. When police arrived, they executed Travis by gunfire, but people want to know why the chimp attacked the woman in the first place, leaving her with life-altering injuries. Theory number one is that after the attack, blood tests showed that the chimpanzee had traces of Xanax in his system. Researchers say they're not sure if this drug may have played a role in the attack, but it could have led to increased aggression. Theory number 2 is that the woman who was attacked had recently changed her hairstyle and was holding one of Travis's toys. Because the chimp recognized his toy but not the woman holding it because she had changed her hair, this may have confused and frightened him, causing him to attack her. And finally is that chimps are wild animals. They're extremely strong and aggressive by nature and not suitable as pets.
Listening to the 911 call is absolutely chilling. You can hear pure panic and desperation in every word. It doesn't sound like something from real life. It feels like a horror movie unfolding in real time. What makes it even more disturbing is knowing this wasn't a random attack, but a pet that had lived with the family for years. That contrast between trust and sudden violence is what makes the story unforgettable. And as shocking as this real-life attack was, the next case, Balloonfest 86, carries an even darker mystery. What began as a cheerful world record attempt turned into one of the strangest disasters in U.S. history. In 1986, over 1.5 million balloons were released into the sky above Cleveland, Ohio, but instead of celebration, the event ended in chaos and tragedy. Now witness the horror.
What you're seeing is 1.5 million balloons being let go at once. What seemed like a fun world record attempt turned into a horrible disaster that killed people. Balloonfest 86 was a fundraising stunt taking place in Cleveland, Ohio. The goal of the event was to raise funds for the United Way charity. They wanted to break the world record for the biggest simultaneous balloon launch to garner attention. So they created a large net structure the size of a city block to contain the balloons and got more than 2,500 volunteers to fill up the balloons. At first, it was a beautiful sight to see, but a cold front combined with rain caused the balloons to descend while still inflated. This sight distracted motorists, causing numerous car accidents in the surrounding Cleveland area. Streets and waterways were clogged with the decorations, and the local airport was forced to shut down for half an hour. And worst of all, the balloons impacted the search for 2 missing fishermen on Lake Erie. The balloons made it impossible to look for their orange life jackets, and on September 29th, the men's bodies washed ashore.
Seeing the sky covered in balloons looks beautiful at first, almost surreal like a dream. But the more you learn about what followed, the harder it is to see it as harmless. Accidents on the roads, chaos in the city, and even the tragic deaths of 2 missing men turned what should have been a joyful stunt into a haunting reminder that good intentions can sometimes end in disaster. It's eerie to think that something so colorful could carry such a dark outcome. This disaster became a warning for years to come. Now let's move to Elisa Lam incident, a story that might disturb you even more. Some mysteries don't feel like news stories, they feel like nightmares caught on tape. One of the most unsettling of them all happened inside a Los Angeles hotel, where a young woman was last seen acting in a way that still terrifies viewers to this day. The footage looks like something out of a horror movie, but it's real. And it leaves behind questions that may never be answered. Time to face it.
Let's talk about
Elisa Lam incident.
Elisa Lam was known for behaving strangely in the elevator. She has strict parents who sometimes wouldn't let her travel alone or without them. But one day, she was thrilled to be able to travel to downtown Los Angeles by herself. She arrived in Los Angeles on January 26, 2013, and checked into the Cecil Hotel on January 28. On January 31, 2013, she disappeared from the hotel. Her parents were worried and tried to contact her, but couldn't reach her. They reported her missing, but there was no sign of her for weeks. Meanwhile, guests at the Cecil Hotel started complaining about the water being black and having an unusual taste. The hotel staff investigated, and on February 19, 2013, they found Elisa Lam's body was found floating in the hotel's water tank on the roof. There were no signs of trauma, and the initial conclusion was an accidental death. However, footage from the hotel elevator showed Elisa acting strangely. She was pressing multiple buttons, and seemed disoriented and distressed. This strange behavior added to the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Some people believed she was playing a game, while others thought she might be hiding from someone or being chased. We may never know why she acted that way. Stay safe.
Imagine stepping into that elevator and seeing someone act the way Elisa did. It would instantly put you on edge. Her movements don't just look strange, they feel wrong, like she's reacting to something we can't see. That's what makes the video so disturbing. It leaves you questioning not just what happened to her, but what might have been there with her. The mystery of Elisa Lam still leaves more questions than answers. But the next case, Metheny incident, is just as unsettling and perhaps even harder to explain. They say monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they live right among us. In the mid-90s, Baltimore would come to know the name Metheny, a man whose crimes blurred the line between human and inhuman. What began as a life marked by addiction and anger spiraled into one of the most twisted true crime stories ever told. People who hear it can never forget it. Now watch the curse.
You won't believe what this guy did to people. Let me explain. In 1996, a homeless addict named Metheny lived in a city where drugs and alcohol were everywhere. After struggling to find a job, he eventually became a forklift driver and met a wonderful lady that was also an addict. They ended up falling in love, getting married, and even having a kid. But here's where the crazy parts happened. Joe and his wife eventually lived in a trailer home with their new child. But one night, Joe came home from work and everything was gone. Yeah, his wife left him with their 6-year-old child and all of her belongings. He was furious until one night he went looking around for his wife and kid and even started asking strangers where they went. And if they said, no, I don't know where they went, he murdered them. And he kept murdering people until one day he needed a little bit of extra cash. So what did he do? He turned all 10 of his victims into burgers and sold them on the side of the road for people to eat for almost an entire month. And his last words were, "I'm sorry will never come out of my mouth." Subscribe for more crazy stories and get me to 1 million.
The Metheny case doesn't just shock you, it unsettles you on a deeper level. His story isn't about sudden violence. It's about a man who seemed to embrace cruelty as if it were second nature. That thought alone makes your stomach turn because it suggests there was nothing accidental about his actions. Everything he did was deliberate. And that's what makes it so terrifying. Metheny's crimes show how terrifyingly ordinary evil can look. The next case, 𝘀𝗋𝗯𝗀𝗋 incident, reveals a different kind of darkness that's just as disturbing. The rap world is no stranger to tragedy, but the sudden loss of 𝘀𝗋𝗯𝗀𝗋 in 2020 left fans in shock. He was on the rise, building a career that seemed unstoppable, until one night in Atlanta turned deadly. What happened in those final moments has since been replayed and debated across the internet. Here comes the horror.
This is how rappers died. 𝘀𝗋𝗯𝗀𝗋, real name Davon Daquan Bennett, beat a murder case in December 2017. After he was released from prison, he signed with Lil Durk's OTF label. He released his first studio album, Welcome to O'Block, on October 30th, 2020. On November 6th, Bennett and his entourage were in Atlanta, Georgia, when they got into a brawl with the entourage of rapper Quando Rondo, real name 𝘀𝗀𝗯𝗀𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋 Bowman's friend Timothy Leaks came from behind a vehicle and shot Bennett. Leaks was also shot. Bennett died at the hospital. He was 26 years old. Leaks survived and was charged with murder, but the charges were later dropped.
The scene feels chaotic and surreal, like watching a career and a life vanish in seconds. What's most haunting isn't just the gunfire, but the silence that followed, the realization that someone with so much ahead of him was gone instantly. It reminds you how fragile everything can be, even for those who seem untouchable. 𝘀𝗋𝗯𝗀𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋𝗋 The next case, Riker Webb incident, carries its own chilling story. Stories about missing children are always terrifying, but this one feels different. A 3-year-old boy vanished while playing outside, only to be found 2 days later in the woods, alive but strangely changed. The way he was discovered has left people asking questions that have never been answered. The clip begins here.
You know that kid that went viral for his before and after pics because everyone thought he got cloned?
Yeah.
He's 3 years old. Riker Webb. He was in his backyard playing with his dog and then he got lost for 2 days.
Yeah.
And imagine you're 3 years old, you get lost in the forest, surviving 2 days is GG's. So they sent the whole search team. They found him, but he was 2 miles from originally where he was.
Oh, word?
When they found him, he was wearing different clothes. They found him in a shed.
Why does he look like that now?
This is when he just found him and this is when
okay,
he got
that makes
lost.
sense though. Bro is in the wilderness. He's probably raised by the wolves.
2 days without water or food. Like, you're 3 years old. You're not going hunting.
We see Tarzan.
Oh, bro.
In my head, that's why I would believe it. But the conspiracy, definitely, that's not him.
Yeah, it's not him. He found it with different clothes. How do you explain that? In my mind, there's no way this kid survived.
Looking at the pictures side by side, it's hard not to feel unsettled. The child that came back didn't quite look the same, and the fact that he was wearing different clothes only makes the mystery darker. Some say it's just the effect of trauma, but others believe something unexplainable happened in those 2 days. That eerie uncertainty is what keeps this case alive in people's minds. If this story felt unsettling, wait until you hear what happened in South Korea's brother's home, a case that pushes the boundaries of strange even further. In the heart of Busan during the 1980s stood a place many believed was helping the poor and homeless. But step inside and the image quickly shattered. Brother's home wasn't about compassion, it was about control, exploitation, and cruelty hidden under the mask of charity. For those who entered, it became a nightmare they could never escape. Dare to press play.
There was no real-life version of Squid Game that the TV show is based on. However, there was an event in South Korea back in the 80s where you can see some similarities. The Brothers' Home was a notorious government-run facility in South Korea during the 1980s. The goal was to clean up urban areas ahead of international events like the 1988 Seoul Olympics. They basically rounded up homeless people, orphans, disabled individuals, and those deemed undesirable by society. Many were forcibly taken to the Brothers' Home and were subjected to horrific living conditions, severe abuse, and forced labor. You can get the whole story on the Brothers' Home over on my YouTube channel.
Learning about the Brothers' Home leaves a heavy weight on you. It wasn't just a few people affected. It was an entire system built to exploit society's most vulnerable. The fact that so many were taken against their will, hidden away from the world, makes this feel less like history and more like a nightmare disguised as policy. It's chilling to realize how long it remained hidden. The horror of Brothers' Home shows how easily suffering can be disguised as order. But human cruelty takes many forms, and in Randonautica suitcase incident, it emerges in a way just as disturbing. It started as just another mobile app, a simple way to explore random places nearby. But soon, the name Randonautica became linked to chilling discoveries and stories that sound more like horror films than casual adventures. What was supposed to be a harmless trend ended up terrifying thousands of users around the world. Here's the haunted tape.
Nope, this is not just a photo from the Randonautica app, but people who have seen it have not made it out alive, and this is your warning. The Randonautica app is used to find random locations to explore, had thousands of people finding something so dark and horrifying that now lives are seriously at risk. 2 women got pinned to go to a location on the beach, and the pin dropped exactly where a suitcase and duffel bag was that not only smelled really bad, was leaking red fluid, had trash bags inside, but when the police was called, they confirmed it was indeed 2 deceased and dismembered bodies, with even other people getting pinned at a trail of thick red fluid, which led them to a place completely hidden with red writings on the wall and a voice crying and screaming for help.
Alright, I'm going, guys. What the Hello? What? Nah. No.
These are not isolated incidents, as thousands of people using the app have had the same exact haunting experience, saying they found abandoned houses with just a random man standing in front of it, or homes with nooses and red-stained mattresses. What police and experts can't figure out is how the app is aware of these incidents well before the officials are even aware, or is the app allegedly causing it? Randonautica is reported to operate based on random coordinates and has no association to these cases.
The scariest part isn't just what people found. It's that the app seemed to guide them straight to it. Random chance shouldn't feel this intentional, and that's what makes the whole thing so unnerving. Randonautica leaves behind a trail of fear that feels impossible to explain. The next case, Lara Logan incident, carries a different kind of terror that's just as unforgettable. Crowds filled Tahrir Square the night Egypt's president stepped down. To the world, it looked like a victory, a city celebrating freedom. But for journalist Lara Logan, the same crowd that symbolized hope would become the backdrop for a terrifying ordeal. In a matter of minutes, the story she was covering turned into a story about her own survival. Time to see it.
This journalist was essayed by over 200 men right after the camera battery died.
Been waiting for. They came here day after day. This is about freedom. Stop!
Lara Logan was a well-known journalist for CBS News. On February 11th of 2011, Lara and her CBS crew were in Egypt because at the time the president Hosni Mubarak was resigning. Lara was covering the celebrations in Tahrir Square because a lot of people were celebrating, chanting, and just happy that they had their freedom. As Lara and her crew were filming it all, suddenly the camera battery died, and that's when things started to change. Men started to gather around Lara, and suddenly she was separated from her CBS crew. Next thing she knows, she is being surrounded by 200 to 300 men and is being essayed by flagpoles and sticks for 25 minutes. They tore off her clothes and started to take photos with their cell phones. Laura's body was being pulled in different directions, and when they were pulling her hair, it was coming out in chunks. She was dragged towards a fence where a group of women were camping. They saw her and were able to pull her out and save her. A group of soldiers saw what was going on, so they started hitting the men with their batons, and luckily Laura survived. Once Laura arrived back to the United States, she was kept in the hospital for 4 days. Since they didn't know the identity of these men because there were so many of them, they weren't able to prosecute any of them. Despite how traumatic this was for Laura, she decided to come forward with her story so that maybe it could help other victims in the same situation. Although the memory will never disappear, she states she is proud for breaking the silence of what some female journalists experience but never talk about.
This case is unsettling because it exposes how fragile safety can be, even in a moment of celebration. It forces you to realize that chaos doesn't always come from war or disaster. Sometimes it's hidden within the crowd itself. The Laura Logan incident remains a chilling reminder of danger disguised as celebration. But Mr. Fritz doll incident takes that same sense of vulnerability and reveals it in an entirely different way. They say some objects carry the spirit of their past, and Mr. Fritz is one of the most chilling examples. Created during World War II inside a prisoner of war camp, the dummy was meant to entertain soldiers. But after its owner's death, the figure gained a reputation for being haunted. Decades later, it still unsettles anyone who sees it. This is the moment.
Even just looking at this doll makes me extremely uncomfortable, but once you know the alleged backstory, it becomes even worse. This TikTok slideshow that I got tagged in starts off by showing an image of a Raggedy Ann doll saying, "I'm the most haunted doll," an image of another famous doll by the name of Robert saying, "No, I'm the most haunted doll," and finally this nightmare fuel, a ventriloquist dummy head by the name of Mr. Fritz. Mr. Fritz actually went viral quite a while ago for supposedly opening up his display case and his eyes visibly blinking and mouth moving, but I'm pretty sure this clip is fake. Either way, Mr. Fritz was supposedly created back in World War II from a soldier in a prisoner of war camp by the name of Billy Booth. Story then goes that Billy Booth would use Mr. Fritz to entertain all the other soldiers in the prisoners camp until Billy Booth and a few other prisoners lost their lives, and now Mr. Fritz is supposedly haunted.
The moment you see that clip, your instincts tell you something isn't right. It's not just the movement, it's the feeling that the dummy is aware of you watching. Legends like Mr. Fritz blur the line between object and entity, leaving behind an unease you can't shake. But Petey's Playhouse incident takes that sense of dread and grounds it in a real-world nightmare. Not every haunted place looks abandoned, some are too well kept for comfort. Petey's Playhouse is one of those unsettling spots. From the outside, it's uninviting, almost hostile. But the real discomfort begins once you realize the inside looks alive, as if waiting for someone to return. Let's start the horror.
And I still don't get why that even after they saw Petey's Playhouse, which doesn't look like a playhouse, they still decided to not call the police. This house looks like one of those bathrooms you see at a public park. It's terrifying. But I can definitely appreciate how well the owners have taken care of this place, on the inside at least. The keyboard looks brand new, the mats on the ground look clean and vibrant, and the walls look freshly painted. Maybe this could be a classic case of don't judge a book by its cover. I don't know.
What makes this place disturbing isn't just the contrast, it's the intent. Someone clearly cared for it, but whoever they are, they remain invisible. That absence feels more frightening than any ghost could. Petey's Playhouse feels less like an abandoned building and more like a trap dressed in bright colors. But Katon Salam incident strips away even that disguise, leaving only raw horror behind. Hospitals are supposed to be places of life and death, but sometimes they blur the line between the two. In 2025, a leaked video from Latin America showed a man declared dead suddenly sitting upright on a gurney. What should have been his final moment instead became the start of something that looked horrifyingly unnatural. Now comes the proof.
Did you know that a man declared dead suddenly sat up on a hospital gurney? But the true story is so disturbing that the hospital erased all evidence. In July 2025, a chilling video was leaked from a hospital in Latin America. A man lay motionless on a gurney, declared dead by the staff preparing to move his body. Suddenly, the man's eyes shot open. He sat up so quickly that his foot hit the metal side of the gurney with a loud bang. The doctors and nurses in the room screamed and ran away in panic, leaving him alone. His gaze was glassy and empty, empty, as if he weren't really there. He stood up slowly with unnatural movements, as if something invisible was controlling him. He looked directly into the camera, his lifeless eyes piercing through the lens, before the footage abruptly cut off. The video went viral and then disappeared. The hospital denied everything, and authorities censored all news about the incident. What makes this even more terrifying? This wasn't the only time a dead person came back to life in a hospital. Katon Salam's case was the first caught on camera, but not the last. What he saw in those final moments was what brought him back from the dead.
It doesn't feel like watching a medical incident, it feels like watching possession caught on tape. The movements are wrong, the stare is lifeless, and yet he looks aware of being filmed. That's what makes the footage unforgettable. The Katon Salam case blurs the boundary between science and nightmare. But Sophia's Sentinel Island incident pushes that fear even further, showing that some horrors can't be explained at all. Traveling to hidden places sounds adventurous, until you realize some places are hidden for a reason. Sophia and her friend ventured into a remote village that locals warned them to avoid. At first, it seemed like simple curiosity. By the time they understood the danger, it was already too late. See it for yourself.
This woman decided to visit an unknown tribe with her friend, but what they did to them was so terrifying that it made headlines in every local newspaper. Sophia, a young woman fascinated by exotic cultures, traveled with a friend to explore an isolated village, one that didn't appear on any maps and was avoided by the local residents. But what seemed like just another adventure quickly turned into a silent nightmare. As soon as they arrived, they were surrounded by men from the tribe, all smiling in a strange way, gently touching Sophia's face, as if hypnotized by her presence. She tried to smile back, but something felt off. Their stares were intense, almost inhuman. And the most disturbing part, not a single woman from the tribe had been seen. When they tried to leave, they realized they were no longer alone and no longer free. What happened to Sophia and her friend that night was so disturbing, the footage caused panic on social media, and the police had to intervene. Want to know what they discovered? Comment tribe for part 2.
The most chilling part isn't what we see, but what's missing, not a single woman anywhere. That silence, that absence, makes the entire encounter feel cursed, like a ritual unfolding before the camera. Sophia's story reminds us that some places remain isolated for reasons we're not meant to discover. But crocodile attack incident reveals that terror doesn't always hide in remote villages, sometimes. It's waiting much closer to home. National parks are meant to be sanctuaries of beauty, but in Australia's Kakadu Park, one trip turned into pure horror. Isabel Von Jordan joined what should have been a safe night swim, trusting her guide's reassurance. Minutes later, the dark waters revealed their real danger, and her life was gone in an instant. Now the truth plays.
On October 22, 2002, Isabel and her sister were swimming in Kakadu National Park on a guided tour. The guide failed to mention that there were enormous saltwater crocodiles in the sandy billabong and invited the tourists to a late-night dip in the water. Their guide, Glenn Robles, assured the group it was safe to swim. After some hesitation, they trusted him. But minutes later, a crocodile crashed into one tourist's leg and grabbed hold of Isabel. She screamed before being dragged underwater. A search at first light found her drowned, still in the jaws of the enormous croc. The grossly negligent guide had ultimately caused Isabel's final affliction.
The tragedy of Isabel's last moments strikes so deeply because of how sudden it was. There was no build-up, no chance to prepare, only the instant when the water turned violent. That contrast between serenity and chaos feels almost unreal, yet it happened right in front of witnesses. It's the kind of event that etches itself into memory, impossible to forget. Nature claimed Isabel's life in a single strike, leaving only shock behind. The next case, hot air balloon incident, shows a kind of horror that doesn't vanish with daylight. High above Brazil, 21 passengers floated in what should have been a peaceful ride. But within moments, fire consumed the balloon, turning the calm flight into a scene of terror. What began as wonder ended in chaos that no one on the ground will ever forget. Here's what they saw.
Just hours ago, a hot air balloon with 21 people on board caught fire mid-flight and essentially disintegrated while onlookers watched. As I said, according to reports, there were 21 people on board, and from watching this video, you can see the balloon completely deflate, and the entire structure then breaks free, and hits the ground. Shockingly, reports are saying there's been 13 survivors, but watching this video, I find that hard to believe. We now have more information about that confusing hot air balloon accident that I posted about yesterday. Like I said in that video, there was 21 occupants, 13 of which survived, which seemed almost impossible looking at this footage. But now we know more of the story. According to the local police, after the emergency started, the operator of the balloon got it relatively close to the ground, at which point he told everyone to disembark. Sadly, there wasn't enough time for everyone to get off. The balloon quickly rose again, and then this footage followed that you saw yesterday.
The most haunting part of this tragedy is the contrast between expectation and reality. What was supposed to be a joyful experience became a desperate fight for survival. Seeing the balloon drift down only to rise again with people still trapped inside feels like watching hope slip away in real time. It's the kind of image that stays with you long after the clip ends. This disaster shows how quickly wonder can turn into horror when control is lost. The next case, the man who got swallowed by a whale, reveals a different kind of nightmare, one that begins not in the sky but much closer to the ground. Most survival stories take place on land, but this one happened deep in the ocean. In 2021, a diver found himself inside the mouth of a humpback whale, alive but completely trapped. For half a minute, he was caught between life and death in a place no human was ever meant to be. Time to watch closely.
In 2021, a giant humpback whale nearly swallowed a man by accident. Thanks to his scuba gear, he could still breathe, but he was completely trapped. For 30 seconds, he struggled inside the whale's mouth, feeling its powerful muscles trying to push him down. But just when it seemed hopeless, the whale suddenly surfaced and spat him out. He escaped with just a few bruises and a dislocated knee, but little did he know that
this case chills you because it collapses the line between folklore and reality. One moment he was diving like countless times before, the next he was inside a living creature larger than anything he could comprehend. Surviving wasn't about courage, it was about the whale's choice, a reminder of just how small we really are in the ocean. That feeling of insignificance is what makes this story unforgettable. These stories remind us that horror isn't confined to movies or myths, it's out there hiding in plain sight. Some of it comes from nature, some from people, and some from places we'll never fully understand. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are many incidents we explain away as accidents or coincidences. But every now and then, something happens that feels too strange, too disturbing to ever dismiss. These are the incidents that stay with you, the ones that crawl back into your thoughts when the lights go out. If you dare to keep watching, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because the most unsettling incident might still be waiting just ahead. In the first case, Seattle is no stranger to unusual events, but in May 2021, something happened that felt completely unreal. On a busy street, a woman was spotted stumbling, her head partially shaved, her face twisted in agony. Witnesses described her movements as unnatural, almost like a scene pulled straight from a horror movie. Within minutes, the footage spread online, leaving thousands of people horrified and desperate for answers. Check this out.
In May 2021, Seattle was shocked by a recording that shows a woman with seemingly severe injury, partially shaved head, walking and limping while screaming hysterically. While it may seem like a scene from a horror movie, people are more concerned about the fact that she might be a victim of abuse or that she might have been injured from an accident. First responders tried to help her and to assess the situation. However, people were heavily concerned since there had been no follow-up as to what actually happened at the time, considering the situation was very disturbing and people wanted some sort of follow-up. But there has been none. However, in September 2023, it was confirmed that the Seattle zombie woman was actually a political protest by an activist for...
What makes this case truly disturbing is that it wasn't just an internet hoax or a horror skit. It happened in real life, on real streets, in front of real people. The fear and confusion from witnesses were genuine, and the uncertainty only amplified the unease. Even after an explanation came years later, many still remembered the raw terror of that day. And while this incident eventually had an explanation, not every mystery ends the same way. The next one is far more chilling, the case of red ribbon saccharine sugar cake. Birthdays are supposed to be moments of joy, but sometimes they take a dark and unexpected turn. For a girl named Maven, her 10th birthday began with smiles, laughter, and a bright sugar cake from her parents. At first, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. But by the end of the night, tragedy struck in the most unsettling way. Here it comes.
Explaining some incident. Part 1.
Red ribbon saccharin, sugar cake.
There was a girl named Mavin. She just celebrating her birthday because she just turned 10 years old. Her parents brought a cake for her. So her birthday, gonna special Marvin, eat too much slices, cake, and even her younger sis too. Maven's parents also ate cake, but only a little. When they finished eating, they also went to sleep. But Mavin, he was vomiting last night, so he couldn't sleep. So they rushed he to the hospital. Immediately, when they checked up Mavin, doctor said that she ate the most sugar cake on that. He didn't have oxygen, so he couldn't handle it. Then he died.
Rest in peace to her. That's all, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye. Bye. Stay safe, everyone.
The fact that something as innocent as a birthday cake could lead to such a devastating outcome is what makes this incident so haunting. A celebration meant to create happy memories instead ended with heartbreak, reminding us how fragile life can be. This was just the beginning of a disturbing pattern. The next case is SpongeBob balloon incident. Something about that balloon wasn't right. That was how one parent described the strange SpongeBob giveaway at a mall in 2011. At first, it was meant to be harmless fun for children. But the cheerful cartoon face soon became tied to one of the eeriest incidents reported by families. Let's roll it.
Let's talk about
SpongeBob balloon incident.
So back in 2011 there was a mall that sold balloon on kicks to children to make them happy. There is a problem with the SpongeBob balloon. It follows them even way, and they get home. The child's parents have reported it. Maybe someone was tracking them, so they knew they were in danger. The balloon village was also scary about that. I don't know if he's banned or not. That's all, and stay safe.
The thought alone is enough to send chills down your spine. A child's toy that refuses to let go. Whether it was coincidence or something more sinister, the incident left parents uneasy, questioning how something so innocent could feel so wrong. If even a balloon can become disturbing, imagine what comes next, a case that's even harder to explain. The boiled one hijacking incident. Imagine sitting in front of your TV late at night, half asleep, when suddenly the screen cuts to something you weren't expecting. A strange figure appears, silent, motionless, as if it's staring back at you. It doesn't feel like a glitch, and it doesn't feel random. In that moment, the room you're in feels less safe, like something has slipped through the screen. Take a look.
Explaining incidents. Part 1. The boiled one hijacking incident. Can you like and follow before Dango disappears? Thanks, and also follow me on Roblox, and here's my user. Thanks. So the bullied one is also known as Fan 228, and it was happened in 2003 of August. And that's 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗋𝗋 is he will watch over you. It was hijacking and rerun of Tree of Heaven's episode for reasons. Then what happened? If you don't sleep at night, it only appeared if you don't sleep because it only watching TV or your phone. And it only appeared at 12 a.m. That 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗋𝗋 is most popular on social medias. If you go to sleep, he will go to your mind or dreams. Yes, this 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗋 only appears at Pennsylvania, USA. If you encounter the boiled one, nothing will happen. But if you see the boiled one on your TV, then be careful because he have super abilities. What do you think about the boiled one? Well, that's all. Bye, and stay safe out there.
The footage is terrifying to watch even now. There's no gore, no screaming, just an eerie presence that makes your skin crawl. The thought that you could be sitting there alone in the dark while something on your TV is silently watching you back. That's the kind of fear that doesn't go away. It's the kind of nightmare that keeps you awake long after the screen goes black. If a single broadcast could shake people this badly, the next incident will hit even harder. The case of the Duolingo hacking incident. Language apps are supposed to help you learn, not scare you. But when Duolingo's official account suddenly wiped out all its videos, people knew something strange had happened. What started as an innocent learning platform turned into a mystery no one expected. And the deeper people looked, the more unsettling the story became. Watch closely.
Let's discuss about
the Duolingo hacking incident.
Maybe if you could follow me on Roblox if you want. So Duolingo is a educational languages app that you can learn. This looks like a pretty normal, right? Well, no, it's not normal. People talking about Duolingo. Why? Because he deleted all videos because of AI. Why is reason that Duolingo got hacked? Here's his why. It's because on May 17th, 2025, the CEO company is making AI first. Here's the video of deleting Duolingo. All videos. Other countries on Duolingo accounts is still here, but Duolingo official is back and Duolingo official needs to stop using AI. That's all information I got. Stay safe, and you can also watch it on YouTube or TikTok. It's up to you, but you need to subscribe my YouTube channel.
The thought of a harmless app transforming into a hacked hello shell was disturbing for many. For some, it felt less like a glitch and more like a warning that even the most ordinary tools we rely on aren't safe from being corrupted. Seeing a trusted brand stripped down like that made people uneasy, questioning who was really in control. The strangest part is this hack wasn't the end of it. What came next left people even more disturbed on YouTube incident. YouTube is supposed to be a place for entertainment, tutorials, and harmless fun. But sometimes, digging too deep uncovers something you wish you hadn't seen. People who searched a certain phrase stumbled across a video that didn't look like it belonged there, and what they found left many feeling unsettled. Here we go.
The dark story behind
searching on YouTube incident.
Before I start, do you mind follow me on Roblox? My goal is 100 followers. Sorry for not posting for school. By the way, I'm just posting at home at night. Let's back up the story. So basically YouTube is the social media app where you can watch all videos, but there's a dark secret. If you search on YouTube, it will show you 𝗂cie free faces. If you click watch on YouTube, it's like a meme. And if you look at title, it's called full stop punctuation, and people went actually got scared. So please don't search it when you have heart attack or weak stomach. That's all information I got. Good luck and stay safe. Wait, you can watch it on my YouTube account. It's up to you.
Those who saw it described an instant sense of dread, the kind that makes your stomach twist. It wasn't gore, it wasn't violent. It was the feeling that you'd stumbled into a corner of the internet not meant to be found. That's why people warn others to avoid it, especially if you're faint-hearted. Sometimes it's not what you see, but the way it makes you feel that lingers long after. The real danger hides in plain sight, and the next incident shows just how terrifying the ordinary can become. This picture incident? Sometimes the scariest things are found in the most ordinary places. A single mom had just bought herself a new phone, nothing special, just a fresh start. She didn't think twice when her little boy asked to play with it. But later that night, she would regret ever handing it over. See for yourself.
Let's talk about this picture. This photo was taken by a single mother who recently bought a new phone. She came home, placed her new phone on the table, and started watching television. But soon after that, her son found the phone and asked to play with it. She agreed, thinking nothing unusual was going to happen. But around 11 p.m. that same night, the mother decided it was time to go to bed since it was late. Strangely, though, she found her son already in bed, which was very unusual for him. Normally, he'd want to stay up a lot longer. That's when she noticed her new phone was still in her son's hands, so she took it from him and unlocked the phone, at first only seeing some minor changes. He changed the background of her phone and took a few pictures around the house. Nothing too alarming. But since the photos seemed random, she started deleting them until she saw something that shocked her. This was the last photo on her camera roll showing her son sleeping, but the photo was taken by someone else above him. That's all, and stay safe. Everyone love ya. Follow 𝗴cie Plays or you might not see me again.
That realization is enough to chill anyone to the bone. Someone or something had been in the room, standing right over her child while he slept. Just the thought of it is terrifying. If a stranger could get that close without being seen, what else could they have done? This wasn't just a disturbing photo, it was proof that safety can be shattered in an instant. And the next incident makes that feeling even worse. The imaginary friend incident. Children often talk about imaginary friends, harmless figures that adults usually dismiss as make-believe. But sometimes those friends feel a little too real. At a McDonald's playground, a young girl posed for an innocent picture. What showed up in the photo left her parents speechless. Time to play it.
Explaining incidents.
Imaginary friend incident.
This is about the imaginary friend that also got in a picture. So the kid was in the McDonald's playground and she wanted to take a picture. But when the parents saw the picture, they were shocked and asked, "Who was that?" The kid replied, "That is my friend Beto." So that's all of the story. It's short, but it's okay. Bye and stay safe.
Honestly, the moment I saw that picture, it didn't feel like just a kid's game. The way she so calmly said, "That's my friend Beto," sent a chill through me. It's not the kind of thing you laugh off. It's the kind of moment that makes you want to check over your shoulder. Because what if something really was standing there? Moments like this blur the line between imagination and reality. And once you've seen that line break, the next incident shows just how far into the darkness it can go. The meat rain incident. They say the sky gives us rain, snow, sometimes even hail. But what if it gave you something far worse? In Kentucky, witnesses once looked up and saw raw chunks of flesh drifting down like raindrops. The ground was littered in red, and no one could explain why. From that day forward, people never looked at the sky the same way again. Let's dive in.
Explaining incidents. But before I start, do you mind following me on Roblox? Thank you, and happy Easter Day.
The meat rain incident.
One day it was an sunny afternoon on March 8, 1876, until suddenly chunks of meat started to fall from the sky in Kentucky. Meanwhile, Mary Crouch, who was making soap outside in her house, was shocked. She then began to ran quickly to approach it. She did tested the meat and she said it was a sheep meat or it was a deer meat. The Crouch family thought it was a sign of God, and today it is being kept inside a jar in Transylvania University's museum. That's all, and stay safe.
For me, this is the kind of story that sticks in your head long after you hear it. The thought of looking up and watching slabs of meat tumble from the sky is enough to make your stomach turn. It doesn't feel like history. It feels like a scene out of a nightmare you can't wake up from. If the sky itself can rain flesh, then reality is far stranger than we'd like to believe. And the next incident takes that strangeness to a whole new level. Tong Tong Saha incident. It sounds harmless, just another catchy TikTok song looping over and over. But for one child, listening to Tong Tong Saha became something far darker. He claimed every time he fell asleep, the song followed him into his dreams. And what he saw there turned the playful tune into a nightmare. Now, look at this.
TikTok trend that went too far. Let's talk about Tong Tong Saha. Before we start, can you add me? So basically that's my new account. Anyways, thank you. There was a child who always woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He said he couldn't sleep well because when he did sleep, he dreamed of Tong Tong Saha. In his dream, if he doesn't wake up at 3 o'clock, the boy will be beaten by his baseball bat. She told her mother everything that was happening to her. After that, her mother knew it. Everything, so she posted it on Facebook. That's why he said he was like that, because he always made me listen to Tong Tong Saha's song. You can search it on the TikTok if you want to listen to that song. That's why, guys, we shouldn't listen Tong Tong Saha brain rot all the time. That's all. Stay safe, okay?
What unsettles me is not the dream itself, but the pattern. Waking up every night at the exact same time feels less like coincidence and more like something waiting for him. That thought alone makes me never want to hear that song again. When even a simple song can twist into a nightmare, you realize nothing is ever as safe as it seems. The next incident proves that feeling all too well, the face split incident in 2009. Some incidents are so disturbing that people still talk about them years later. In 2009, two brothers went diving for fun, but what started as an innocent day out ended in horror. One of them surfaced from the water unharmed. The other never had that chance. Dare to watch this?
Let's talk about
the first split incident.
So this started in the year 2009, when there was two brothers diving for fun. So the first brother jumped in the water and did it safely, but the second brother didn't do it well, and I will explain it. So once the second brother jumped, his head got hit by the rock and then he came on the water. The water instantly became red and bloody. He was rushed into the hospital because his head broke and his brain was seen and his face was split in half. He did make it to the hospital, but he sadly died 2 days later. So rest in peace for the man, and goodbye, and stay safe.
I have to admit, this one genuinely shook me. It's not just the accident itself, but the thought of how quickly joy can collapse into tragedy. One second, you're laughing with family. The next, you're facing something so horrific that you can't unsee it. That's the kind of fear that stays with you. Even after the accident, what stayed with people wasn't just the tragedy. It was the image burned into their memory. And the next incident carries that same unforgettable weight. Mirror concert incident. Concerts are supposed to be nights of joy, filled with music and celebration. But during the Mirror Band's first ever concert in Hong Kong, that joy quickly turned to horror. In front of a live audience, something happened that no one expected. And it left scars, both physical and emotional, that would never be forgotten. Here's the 𝗀𝘂𝗃 clip.
Explaining incidents, part 5.
Mirror concert incident.
Before I start, please follow me on Roblox. It is okay if you don't want to. In July 28, 2022, a concert named Mirror was performing in Hong Kong. It was going well and perfectly good until one of the backup dancers named 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗃𝗍 was paralyzed. So this is what happened. While they were performing a huge 4-inch TV hit, 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗃𝗍 and one other member, 𝗀𝘀𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗃𝗍 was pinned to the ground, just under the screen. He suffered serious neck injuries. He was in the hospital for 6 months after the incident happened. The bad thing is that was their first ever concert. Both of them is recovering now and is feeling great. The video is available at YouTube, so watch it on your own risk, but be careful because it can affect your stomach. That's all, and stay safe.
Watching the footage feels unreal. One moment it's a concert like any other, the next it's pure nightmare fuel. The screams from the audience, the way the stage went silent, it's the kind of scene that makes you realize how quickly a celebration can collapse into tragedy. The stage lights dim that night, but the fear they left behind still lingers. And the next incident brings an even darker shadow, the Roblox Crossword incident. What if the game you joined wasn't really a game at all? In 2022, Roblox players discovered that the so-called crossword was hiding something far more disturbing. At first glance, it looked harmless, just another simple title on the platform. But once you clicked play, it became a nightmare in disguise. Now witness the horror.
Explaining incidents, part 7.
Roblox Crosswords game incident.
Oh, and I am sorry about the macarons. Video I didn't know. It wasn't that deep. I hope you understand. Thank you. In 2022, a game went viral because it deleted over 100 plus accounts on Roblox. It's a Roblox game that was taken over by some hackers and spammed people to join the game. But if you join the game, it would show a loading screen. But if you waited, the sky would turn red and your screen will begin to shake. And then a few seconds later, the game will kick you out. And if you want to see, here you go. And yes, the game can actually delete your account. As you see in the video, the little boy got his account deleted. Apparently this is because the game contained a script that made you spam inappropriate things about kids, making Roblox ban you from the platform. That's all, and stay safe.
When I first heard this, it honestly didn't sound real until I saw the footage. Watching a kid lose his entire account over something he couldn't control feels terrifying. It's not just about losing progress. It's about realizing the platform you trusted could suddenly turn on you. If even a children's game can be twisted into something this dangerous, the next incident will make you question what's truly safe online. Astroworld incident. Concerts are meant to bring people together through music and energy. But in 2021, during Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival in Houston, that energy spiraled out of control. What started as a night of excitement quickly turned into chaos. And by the end of the event, lives were lost. Time to face it.
Explaining Incidents, Part 8. Astroworld Incident. This incident happened in November 5th, 2021, which was a long time ago. Travis Scott was the one who made this concert in Houston, Texas. It was supposed to be a very good concert until a fatal incident happened. 10 people D, 3D of suffocating. And the worst thing is that there was a 9-year-old kid who was in the concert. So the concert could only hold 50,000 people, but 20,000 people broke inside the concert, and more people went into the left side instead of the right side, making people in the left side suffocating. Because of this, child was squeezed to the 3th, even though people yelled Travis to stop. The concert he kept going. To whoever was in this concert, I hope you feel good again, and the people who 3D, rest in peace. That's all, and stay safe.
Watching the footage is chilling. You can hear screams, see people waving for help, yet the music never stopped. For me, it's the helplessness that's most disturbing. Being surrounded by thousands, yet realizing no one can save you. That's a fear you can almost feel just by hearing the story. The echoes of that night still haunt the music world. And the next incident carries the same weight of horror, the Ariana Grande concert incident. A concert is supposed to be a place of joy, a night fans will never forget. For 14,000 people inside Manchester Arena in 2017, that promise was shattered in the worst way possible. What began as music and celebration soon descended into panic and chaos. And the memories from that night still haunt thousands. Let's face the truth.
Let's talk about the Ariana Grande concert incident. On May 22nd of 2017, Ariana Grande was performing at a concert in the Manchester Arena in England. The set was amazing, and there was 14,000 people in the audience, and everybody was having a good time. But things later took a dark turn. 2 men planned to attack Ariana Grande's young fan base. One of the men brought a large backpack that was full of large amounts of explosives. Then once he was inside the venue and he was around her young fans, the explosives in the backpack went off. This caused over 1,000 injuries and 22 deaths, and the man who had backpack also lost his life. The other man was his brother, and he was caught and got sentenced to 55 years behind bars. Ariana was devastated and traumatized, but she helped the people who were injured and visited them in the hospital. Stay safe.
For me, this is one of the hardest incidents to even think about. The idea that a place of happiness could be turned into a scene of terror in an instant is devastating. Watching Ariana herself break down afterward, visiting the injured in hospitals, only adds to the weight of how deeply this tragedy scarred everyone who was there. That night proved how fragile safety can be, even in the places we trust most. And the next incident carries the same chilling reminder, Talking Tom. The 12th of October 1999 incident. Mobile games are supposed to be lighthearted distractions, but sometimes, players stumble into something they wish they hadn't. One rumor about Talking Tom became infamous online, tied to a strange date, October 12, 1999. At first, it sounded like just another silly creepypasta, but those who claim to try it describe something far more unsettling. The clip begins here.
Let's talk about October 12th, 1999 incident. I don't know if that information is true, but I will tell you what the information I got. This glitch is in the game Talking Tom, so let's start. This glitch only happens in versions 1, 5 or 1.2. This incident was in 2015, and the only way for the glitch to happen is putting the birthday October 12th, 1999. And if you see Tom's eyes popping out and a rectangle mouth, you need to delete the app in 10 seconds. If you don't, then a spam call will call you. And if you talk with the spam caller for 10 minutes, it will find your IP and will get you. Don't be scared, 𝗵cie. I've seen many videos do this, and it didn't work.
I'll be honest, even knowing it's probably fake, the idea still gets under my skin. A children's game turning into something that watches you back is creepy enough. But imagining a phone call tied to a glitch, as if the game itself was reaching out to you, is the kind of thought that lingers long after you put your phone down. When even a harmless app can twist into something this disturbing, it makes you wonder what else is hiding in the games we trust. The next incident takes that unease even further, the Talking Angela incident. Talking Angela seemed like just another harmless mobile game. A friendly virtual cat that chats back, smiles, and entertains children. But in 2015, parents began to notice something far more sinister behind the app. Whispers of missing children turned the playful cat into the center of a chilling rumor. Dare to press play.
Let's talk about the Talking Angela incident. Before we start, could you follow me on Roblox? Thanks. So the Talking Angela incident started in 2015 when the first edition of Talking Angela released. There was a boy named Ryan that played Talking by Angela, but then noticed that inside Angela's eye was a person. He didn't think much of it until Angela started texting him, and she started saying things like, "Where do you live?" And then since he was young, he told her. And then there was a report the next morning about Ryan getting kidnapped. Until this day, no one has actually found Ryan. The same thing happened to other kids that had the Talking Angela app. Even if the kids didn't tell her their location, they were still found and kidnapped. Because the game would ask for microphones access and locations. And the parents didn't know how they were kidnapped. So this is where I'm gonna end it. I'll try and make a part 2 with more info about it. Stay safe guys, and thanks for watching part 2 of Angela incident. Before we start, could you consider following me on Roblox? Thanks. Let's begin. So this was from the comments from the part 1 where people were saying they have Angela. Remember that the person in the eye could only be seen in the Talking Angela app, not my Talking Angela. And besides, the person that was behind it got caught and arrested, so it's not even in Talking Angela anymore. And really to this day no one really talks about it because it would cause children nightmares, including me when I was a kid back then. And even parents don't want to talk about it either. That's the end of part 2, and that's the end of my Talking Angela incident. So if you have any questions you can ask in the comments. Also inform me if you have any scary stories you want me to do. Bye guys, that's it for now.
Even if parts of this story are exaggerated, it's terrifying to think about. A game designed for kids suddenly asking for your location or microphone access already feels wrong. Add in the idea of children disappearing after playing. And it's the kind of rumor that sticks in your head, making you second-guess every harmless app. 𝗴cie curiosity killed the cat. But in this case, curiosity might have taken the children too. The next incident is even darker to One Man, One Jar. Some internet videos are so disturbing that they gain infamy for decades. Among them is one clip whispered about online under a single name, One Man, One Jar, what looked like an ordinary homemade. Video quickly revealed something no one was prepared to see. And to this day, people still regret ever pressing play. Let's roll the terror.
Discussing about One Man, One Jar. I will finally make this video since so many people has been requesting One Man, One Jar incident. A Russian man that is completely 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃 had made a video named One Man One Jar, which happens to be a famous incident. He published a video that was 17 years ago, and he published it on a website called 𝗴cie. His user was known as 𝐿𝑥13031969 and his real name is 𝗴cie 𝗀𝗃, and he's 40 that time. The video is described as a man completely 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃 and sat on the jar until it shattered into pieces, and he had so many blood and body injuries, and he ignored all of it and kept going. I don't really know what had happened next, so tell me in the comments if there's something I forgot to say that describes this man. That's all. Stay safe out there.
Even without watching the full thing, just hearing the descriptions is enough to make you uneasy. There are many incidents in history that appear ordinary at first, accidents, strange events, or unexplained moments caught on tape. But hidden among them are cases so disturbing that they continue to haunt anyone who dares to watch. From mysterious disappearances to terrifying encounters that defy logic, tonight we'll uncover some of the most disturbing incidents ever recorded. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to stay safe. Stories about cursed or mysterious tapes have always haunted the internet, but the McGrady tape stands out as one of the creepiest. In 2001, a Blockbuster employee stumbled upon an unmarked VHS left outside the store. What seemed like just another forgotten tape turned out to contain footage no one was prepared to see. To this day, the strange recording remains unexplained, making it an unsettling piece of urban legend. Let's face the truth.
Watch out when you're out in public using the restroom, because you might just encounter this. The year is 2001 in McGrady, North Carolina, when a strange vehicle dropped off an unmarked VHS tape just outside of a Blockbuster store. And if you aren't familiar with what a Blockbuster is, basically they were popular back in the 2000s. They rented out video games and movies to people, kind of like Redbox. Okay, back to the story. An employee was finishing their late night shift when they found the tape lying outside of the building. They noticed that it had no return label and it was inside of a scrunched up plastic bag. The employee quickly took the unmarked tape inside to show their coworkers. No one knew where it came from. That's when they decided to show their manager. They played the tapes. At first, it was nothing but static, but then they saw something that made their skin crawl. The footage showed a person in a bathroom stall. On the other side was this face looking back at the cameraman. And what makes this even more scary, you can hear the heavy breathing of the man holding the camera. The footage went on for 40 minutes, repeating the same disturbing scene of this creepy mannequin looking back at the cameraman. The footage ended with an unexplainable scraping noise. After viewing the horrifying footage, the employees turned it over to police. What they discovered was even more disturbing. The tape was examined by forensic experts. They discovered the tape had traces of human decomp. To this day, no one knows who left the McGrady tape or what the footage really means. All we know is that the McGrady tape remains a terrifying mystery.
That gave me chills. The thought of watching something so repetitive and eerie, knowing it was left anonymously, feels like a message from someone who wanted to disturb anyone who found it. The heavy breathing and that mannequin-like face staring back are details that stick in your mind long after the video ends. Honestly, it makes me wonder whether this was just a twisted prank or something far darker. If the McGrady tape wasn't enough to creep you out, the next story will take disturbing footage even further: the kid with a dead grandma. In 2019, a quiet neighborhood in the Philippines became the source of one of the most unsettling home videos ever recorded. A 7-year-old boy was casually filming around the house while his mother worked nearby. Nothing seemed unusual at first, just an innocent clip made by a child. But when people looked closer, the shadowy figure of his grandmother, who had passed away the year before, was standing in the background. Now see what happened.
Let's talk about the kid with a dead grandma. I'm sorry for not posting. For almost 2 months I was busy with school and church, so I couldn't really do much. Work is in my account. In the country named Philippines, year 2019. October 28th. A mother with a name, 𝗀𝘀𝗃𝗃 Delgado, and a son that is 7 years old really likes to take selfies, while her mom, Teresa, was doing works. But a strange day, when Teresa's son took a horrifying video showing their dead grandma that has passed away last year. Here's the video. Here's a little reminder that if you're scared, God is here too. Protect us. Fear the Lord and always pray for Him to protect us away from these videos.
That left me genuinely uncomfortable. The appearance wasn't dramatic, but that's exactly why it feels so real. It's quiet, subtle, and completely out of place. Watching it felt less like a ghost video and more like stumbling across something I wasn't supposed to see. The unease doesn't come from the image alone, but from the silence that surrounds it, disturbing as it is. The story doesn't stop here. The next case drags us even deeper into the shadows. The cake incident. A birthday should have been a night of joy, candles, and laughter. Instead, for one family, the celebration turned into tragedy. The cake they had waited for with excitement became the center of an incident no parent should ever experience. What was meant to be sweet ended up leaving a scar that will never heal. Let's roll the terror.
Explaining Incidents, Part 9. The cake incident. This incident happened in March 2024. A family ordered the cake from the bakery called 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗯𝗿 Bakery. Once the cake arrived, exactly at her birthday, after this she began to cut the cake at 7 p.m. and it was recorded. The girl's name is Metheny. She was 10 years old until a cake took her life. She and her family then began to consume the cake. Later then, she and her family become very sick. Metheny and also her sister vomited with dehydration and dryness tongue. She drank water before going to sleep, but it was her last day sleeping. Around m at night, her family rushed her to the hospital, but she later passed away. Rest in peace, Metheny and her sister. That's all, and stay safe.
Watching this leaves a heavy feeling. The image of a child celebrating only for the night to end in such pain is almost unbearable. It's not a ghost, not a legend, but reality itself, and that makes it harder to forget. Every time I think about this story, it reminds me how fragile moments of happiness can be. The sorrow from this case is overwhelming, yet the next story shifts from sadness to something far more unsettling: Naoki Kano incident. Among the strangest cases in Japan's history lies the death of Naoki Kano. He was discovered inside a squatting toilet in a small village, wedged headfirst in a way that defied explanation. The position of his body alone raised questions that still remain unanswered decades later. What should have been an ordinary restroom visit became one of the country's most disturbing mysteries. This is the case that continues to puzzle investigators and horrify anyone who hears about it.
The man who died in a toilet.
Naoki Kano.
In a small village in Japan, back in 1989, 26-year-old Naoki managed to fit himself into a squatting toilet. Nobody knows how he was able to fit into this tiny toilet. He was 5 feet 7 inches in height, so he wasn't really tall. Even if you were remarkably smaller, it'd still be difficult to fit in. Naoki went inside the toilet tank head first, and ended up stuck in this position. Nobody really knows why he wanted to go through the 14-inch wide tank, but a lot of people thought he wanted to stalk women because of how his face was below the toilet seat. The first person to find out about this was a 23-year-old school teacher who went to use the restroom. The teacher looked at the toilet and saw a human face below, so she called the police immediately. Naoki's body was eventually removed, but he was no longer alive. After further investigations, his death was caused by hypothermia because of how cold Japan was during that time.
The details of this death are unsettling on multiple levels. It's not just the physical impossibility of fitting into such a narrow space, but also the thought of why anyone would even attempt it. Some say it was an accident, others believe something darker was at play. For me, the eeriest part is the silence. No clear motive, no explanation, only a body left behind in the most unnatural position. As bizarre as this case sounds, the next story pushes the boundaries of disturbing even further. Jeffrey Doucette incident. Jeffrey Doucette lived a double life, trusted karate instructor by day, predator in secret. Parents believed their children were safe under his watch, but behind closed doors he was hiding something horrific. His crimes would eventually shock the nation, but what truly burned his name into history was the way his story ended. Time to see it.
The man who was shot on live television.
Jeffrey Doucette.
The whole backstory to the incident starts off with predator Jeff Doucette getting arrested for kidnapping and child molesting. Doucette was a karate instructor who was around kids all the time and seemed like a trustworthy guy to the students' parents. But one day, Jeff Doucette kidnapped one of his students, who was 11 years old, and took him 2,000 miles away from Louisiana to a motel in California, where he would begin assaulting the boy for a whole month straight. The authorities eventually tracked Doucette down and was arrested. During his interrogation, he admitted to assaulting multiple children over the years. After the interrogation, the police prepared to take him back to Louisiana to face trial, and as Doucette was being escorted through the airport, the 11-year-old's father was there waiting in disguise with sunglasses and a baseball cap. As Doucette was walking near the father then pulled out a gun and shot him in the head on live television. The father was immediately tackled and arrested, and Doucette was then rushed to the hospital, but later died due to his injuries. The father who shot Doucette was put on trial for second-degree murder, but never served time in prison since he wasn't a threat to society, according to the judge.
It's disturbing to realize how someone who appeared so ordinary could be capable of such darkness. The abduction itself was horrifying, but seeing justice carried out in such a public and violent way leaves a very different kind of chill. For me, it's not the act of revenge that lingers, it's the silence afterward, the sudden reminder of how quickly everything can change. Stories like this feel less like true crime and more like something out of a bleak thriller. That airport incident remains unforgettable, but the next story carries an eeriness of its own, Katy Mills Mall incident. 2 days before Christmas, what should have been a night of shopping and celebration turned into chaos inside Katy Mills Mall. Families filled the stores. Music played and everything felt festive until the sound of gunfire cut through the holiday atmosphere. In an instant, the mall that had felt so safe became a place of panic. This is the moment.
Let's talk about
Katy Mills Mall.
This event happened 2 days before Christmas. Katy Mills is a popular mall in Katy, Texas. Everything went fine until this happened. On December 23rd, 2004, I heard gunshots 2 times. I was with my brother Zam, my older sister, and my mom were at Coach. On the first gunshot, I thought it was a balloon popping, but one of the stores, Room Rack Shoes, had a broken glass. We started evacuating to Coach. We were hiding in the back of the building. I called the police on my mom's phone. My older brother said that he was Mexican, and he said, "What's up?" One of the members in Coach told us to leave calmly. My mom and some of my older siblings took photos of the bullet and then leave. And then my sister called those gangs the R word, which is offensive to anyone who is disabled. When I went home, I watched the news about what happened, and I saw this. This event causes me to not do choir at this day, but anyways, stay safe out there. Check out my new picture. It's inspired by Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album.
Hearing this story made me tense up as if I was there. The detail about mistaking the gunshot for a balloon pop feels so real. It shows how quickly confusion can flip into fear. I kept imagining what it must have felt like hiding in the back of a store while chaos spread outside. It's the kind of moment that stays with you, even if you only hear it secondhand. The terror inside Katy Mills was unforgettable. Yet the next incident carries an even stranger twist, water-powered car incident. Stanley Meyer wasn't just an inventor, he was a man who claimed to have solved one of humanity's biggest problems, fuel. His water-powered car could cross the United States on just 22 gallons of water, a breakthrough that promised to change the world forever. But instead of celebration, his discovery brought danger. The higher his invention climbed in fame, the more powerful enemies seemed to surround him. Let's start the horror.
The man who was killed for his invention.
Stanley Meyer.
In the 1990s, Stanley Meyer invented a car that could run on water. The water-powered car was able to travel from Los Angeles to New York on just 22 gallons of water. Once his water-powered car became popular around the whole world, he was offered millions of dollars to destroy his invention, but he declined the offer. Soon afterwards, Stanley Meyer started receiving death threats constantly. Stanley Meyer's invention was still successful, but one day, Stanley Meyer was at a business meeting with foreign investors. The meeting was going well until someone offered Stanley Meyer cranberry juice. After Stanley took a sip of the juice, He ran out into the parking lot, then yelled, "They poisoned me." A few seconds after he yelled, he ended up collapsing and dying. A week after Stanley Meyer's death, his lab was raided and the water-powered car was stolen.
This feels less like an accident and more like a warning. The sudden collapse after a simple drink, followed by his lab being raided, makes the whole story sound like something out of a conspiracy thriller. What unsettles me most isn't just his death, but the fact that his invention vanished right after. It leaves you wondering how much truth we'll never get to know. Meyer's mysterious death still sparks debate today, but the next case takes conspiracy and turns it into something even darker: one man, one jar. Some internet legends spread like wildfire, whispered about in forums and passed around as the video you should never watch. One of the most infamous of these is known simply as One Man, One Jar. First uploaded in the mid-2000s by a Russian user, the clip quickly gained a reputation for being one of the most disturbing videos ever shared online. Play the cursed scene.
Discussing about One Man, One Jar. I will finally make this video since so many people has been requesting One Man, One Jar incident. A Russian man that is completely 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗋 had made a video named One Man, One Jar, which happens to be a famous incident. He published a video that was 17 years ago, and he published it on a website called 𝗴cie. His user was known as 𝐿𝑥13031969 and his real name is 𝗴cie 𝗀𝗃, and he's 40 that time. The video is described as a man completely 𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗋 and sat on the jar until it shattered into pieces, and he had so many blood and body injuries, and he ignored all of it and kept going. I don't really know what had happened next, so tell me in the comments if there's something I forgot to say that describes this man. That's all. Stay safe out there.
Just hearing about this video is enough to make people uneasy. It represents the kind of internet content that feels cursed. Once you know it exists, you can't unknow it. For me, the disturbing part isn't just the act itself, but the idea that someone willingly filmed it and put it out into the world. It's the kind of clip that makes you realize not every corner of the internet is meant to be explored. Internet shock videos come and go, but the next case proves some stories stick with you far longer than you'd like. Steve Irwin incident. Steve Irwin wasn't just a TV host, he was a global icon who brought the wild into people's living rooms. With boundless energy and fearless enthusiasm, he turned dangerous encounters into moments of wonder. Generations grew up watching him handle crocodiles, snakes, and countless other animals with a mix of bravery and respect. His life was dedicated to nature, but that same passion would ultimately lead to his untimely death. Now comes the proof.
This is how Steve Irwin died. Steve started as an Australian zookeeper, but with his breakout show, The Crocodile Hunter, he made the whole world fall in love with wildlife. With his infamous khaki outfit and signature 𝗀cie, he turned dangerous encounters into moments of education and excitement, but his passion for animals was also what led him to his tragic end. On September 4th, 2006, Steve was filming a documentary off the coast of Queensland, Australia. That day, instead of crocodiles, he was working with stingrays. While snorkeling in shallow water, Steve hovered above one to get a better shot for the cameras. In an instant, the stingray struck. It's piercing straight through his chest and into his heart. At first, Steve thought it was just a puncture wound, but as the poison and blood loss set in, he realized how severe it was. His crew pulled him onto their boat, desperately trying CPR, but Steve looked at them and told them he was dying. Within minutes, he lost consciousness and never woke up again. Steve Irwin was pronounced dead at just 44 years old. The footage of his final moments was destroyed, leaving only the legend of a man who lived and died doing what he loved.
Hearing this story always leaves a heavy silence. It's heartbreaking to know that someone so full of life was taken so suddenly in such an unexpected way. What chills me the most is the fact that his final words weren't of fear, but of acceptance. To me, that makes his legacy even stronger, a man who never stopped being true to his mission. The loss of Steve Irwin shook the world, but the next story reminds us that tragedy doesn't always strike in the wild. Sometimes it hides much closer to home. The Roblox Crossword incident. Online games have always carried their share of strange rumors, but every so often one of them turns out to be real. In 2022, a Roblox game called Crosswood spread like wildfire across the platform. At first, it looked harmless, just another viral lobby with players rushing to join. But what started as a trend quickly became one of the most disturbing incidents in Roblox history. See it for yourself.
Explaining Incidents, Part 7.
Roblox Crosswords, Game Incident.
Oh, and I am sorry. About the macarons. Video I didn't know. It wasn't that deep. I hope you understand. Thank you. In 2022 a game went viral because it deleted over 100 plus accounts on Roblox. It's a Roblox game that was taken over by some hackers and spammed people to join the game. But if you join the game, it would show a loading screen. But if you waited, the sky would turn red and your screen will begin to shake. And then a few seconds later, the game will kick you out. And if you want to see, here you go. And yes, the game can actually delete your account. As you see in the video, the little boy got his account deleted. Apparently this is because the game contained a script that made you spam inappropriate things about kids, making Roblox ban you from the platform. That's all, and stay safe.
Watching this unfold feels surreal, a simple game screen turning into a trap. The red sky, the shaking visuals, it all plays out like a digital horror story. What unsettles me most isn't the jump scare effect, but the fact that accounts were permanently erased afterward. It blurs the line between a prank and something malicious, almost like the game itself was designed to punish curiosity. Crosswood left players terrified of logging back in, but the next case shows that sometimes the danger online can spill into real life. Selene Delgado Lopez incident. Television in the 1990s carried more than just cartoons and commercials. In Mexico, viewers sometimes saw sudden broadcasts about missing people, ordinary segments meant to raise awareness. But one name stood out, Selene Delgado Lopez. Her appearance on screen wasn't just a routine announcement. It was the start of something that would haunt viewers for years. Let's face the nightmare.
Let's talk about
Selene Delgado.
In the 1990s, a Mexican television channel broadcasted information about missing people. These broadcasts often appearing during commercial breaks, aimed to spread awareness of missing individuals. Each broadcast featured the person's name, age, and date they went missing. One particular broadcast, however, people were shocked. The broadcast of Selene Delgado, a woman who went missing on April 22 in Lavaro, Obregón, Mexico City, was allegedly interrupted during a children's television show. Her photo was replaced with an unsettling image. Here's a video.
Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón. Selene Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000. Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón.
People were shocked because of this. It was interrupted by this man. And thousands of children were horrified.
There's something deeply unsettling about the way her image appeared, almost as if it wasn't meant for the audience who saw it. The grainy screen, the monotone voice, and the sudden intrusion during a children's show make the whole thing feel cursed. It's less about the fact that she was missing and more about how the broadcast itself feels wrong. Watching it gave me the sense that the TV wasn't just showing information, it was reaching out. The mystery of Selene Delgado Lopez still echoes across the internet, but the next story takes us from the static of a broadcast to something far more terrifying. 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗿𝗍 mukbangzi? 𝗀𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 he finished on camera wasn't just for entertainment, it was a way to support his family. His viewers grew, his content gained attention, but one challenge changed everything. What began as a simple request from an audience member ended in tragedy. Now the truth plays.
Explaining Incidents, Part 3. Before we start, can you follow me on Roblox? Thanks. This all started when a man from the Philippines decided to do mukbang.videos to earn money and to help his family for it. A few days later, not long ago, some of his so-called follower challenged him to eat a chicken bone which is not very good for people. He made that video and gained much views, but what he didn't know is that he died just after a few days, and the person who challenged him to do that hasn't been arrested. Like, why? I feel absolutely bad about that man, even though he don't know me. And if you want to support him, he has a TikTok, here's his user. And his brother are the one doing the mukbangs now, because Rogelio died. Condolences, by the way. That's all I know. Stay safe out there.
It's heartbreaking to realize how far someone can go just to meet the demands of an audience. The challenge itself might have seemed harmless at first, but the consequences were devastating. Watching his story unfold feels like a warning about the darker side of online trends. To me, this isn't just a mukbang gone wrong, it's a reminder of how fragile life really is. The sadness of Rogelio's story lingers, but the next case carries a completely different kind of horror: Robin Westman. A quiet morning service at Annunciation Catholic School turned into one of the darkest chapters in Minneapolis. Gunfire shattered the calm, leaving children and adults caught in chaos. The suspect, Robin Westman, was only 23 and once a student of the very same school. What unfolded after revealed a story soaked in pain, trauma, and unanswered questions. Here's what they saw.
Here's why Robin Westman committed the incident at Catholic School in Minneapolis. This morning, terror struck Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis. During a quiet service, shots tore through the church windows. 2 children, just 8 and 10 years old, lost their lives, while 17 more, 14 kids and 3 adults, were left injured in chaos. The suspect was soon identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, once a student of the same school. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Reports suggest Robin carried heavy scars from his childhood there, claiming he was bullied and mistreated. For years, that anger and pain grew inside him, until this morning, when he came back to the place that shaped his deepest wounds, seeking revenge. Yet the ending shocked everyone. When police stormed his home, Robin was found seated in a chair, lifeless. No standoff, no final message, just silence that left more questions than answers. Was it only about the trauma he claimed to endure, or was there something far more sinister at play? What do you think really drove Robin Westman, and why did his story end this way? Comment your thoughts.
The detail that unsettles me most isn't just the tragedy inside the school, but what was found later at Robin's home. The silence of that final scene feels heavier than any confrontation could have been. It gives the impression of someone consumed by something far darker than just anger. To me, this case feels less like revenge and more like watching a life swallowed whole by its own shadows. The weight of Robin Westman's story still lingers, but the next incident shows a different face of horror: Flow. TikTok has always been full of trends, but sometimes a simple pattern turns into something much darker. A creator known as Flow posted lighthearted content, slime videos, dances, and makeup tutorials. Then whispers started spreading: wear a flower shirt if you're in danger. When Flow suddenly appeared online wearing a bouquet-patterned outfit, the rumors shifted from playful to chilling. Don't look away now.
People that was on danger, part 1. Flow. Before we start, can you follow me on Roblox? Thank you, and I'm happy we hit 50k likes and 9k followers, which is close to 10,000. Flow is a well-known TikToker on TikTok that has been on danger. She makes fun activities like making slime, makeup, and she also dances. But one day, people has been saying things like, wear a flower shirt if you're on danger, and after that, she actually wore a flower bouquet designed clothes, and she's been doing all of this since 2024. She also had a backstory, and her backstory was she had a child that was 9 years old, and she died. But before she died, Flow, which is her mother, bought a pack of slime because that was het daughter's favorite toy. That's all, guys. Goodbye and stay safe.
It feels unsettling to see something so ordinary, just clothing, take on such a sinister meaning. The context around her outfit makes it impossible to watch her content the same way again. What's even darker is the backstory tied to her, with the loss of her child and the toys she left behind. To me, the whole situation blurs the line between coincidence and hidden message. Flow's story shows how easily the internet can turn simple details into terrifying signals. And the next case takes that unease even further: the Bunny Man. Virginia hides one of the strangest and most disturbing legends in America. Locals whisper about a figure dressed in a bodysuit waiting near a bridge in Fairfax County. Some call it a ghost, others say it's something far worse, a killer who never truly died. The story stretches back over a century, and every Halloween the tale grows darker. Time to watch closely.
They say if you visit this bridge in Fairfax County, Virginia on Halloween night, you might encounter a lunatic in a bunny costume carrying an axe. This is the terrifying urban legend of the Bunny Man. It all started in 1904 when the residents of Clifton complained about an insane asylum being too close to their town. Eventually, the asylum got shut down and the inmates were loaded onto a bus to be transported to another facility. Somehow the driver lost control and crashed deep into the woods. The inmates saw this as an opportunity to escape, and they took it. Authorities searched the area and managed to recover every inmate except for one. His name was Douglas Griffin, and he was the most dangerous of them all. He had been admitted to the asylum because he murdered his entire family, and now he was on the loose. Weeks passed and people started finding skinned rabbit corpses hanging from trees. It's believed that Douglas was eating them to stay alive and may have even used their fur for his suit. Soon, sightings of a deranged man in a bunny suit wielding an axe began popping up around town. According to legend, one Halloween night, a group of teenagers went to the bridge for fun, but they never came back home. Their bodies were later found mutilated and strung up beneath the bridge, just like the rabbits. Since then, it's said that the Bunny Man returns every Halloween and uses his axe on anyone that gets too close. But here's where things get creepy. There were actual police reports of a maniac terrorizing people in a bunny suit carrying an axe. The first incident happened on October 19, 1970 when a couple was sitting in their car and they noticed a man in a bunny suit appear in their rear view mirror. They didn't even have time to react. The man threw a hatchet through their window and started screaming at them to leave. The second incident happened 10 days later when a security guard reported seeing a man in a bunny suit standing on a porch of a house that was still under construction, threatening him with an axe, telling him that he needed to leave because he was trespassing. Both incidents made the local news, and ever since, people have wondered if the Bunny Man's actually real or if he's just a hoax. What do you guys think?
What makes this legend so unsettling is how it mixes folklore with police reports. The detail of rabbits strung up like trophies is already disturbing, but the confirmed sightings in the 1970s give the story a chilling edge of reality. It's the kind of myth that feels alive, always waiting for another encounter to add to its history. For me, it's less about whether he's real and more about the fact that people still refuse to walk that bridge alone. The deeper we dive into disturbing incidents, the more we realize how easily the ordinary can twist into horror. These aren't just stories you can switch off. They linger, they follow. There are many videos on the internet that seem harmless, entertaining, or just ordinary at first glance. But hidden among them are clips so disturbing and unsettling that once you see them, they'll haunt you forever. From strange encounters caught on tape, to mysterious footage that defies explanation. Today we're exploring some of the most disturbing videos ever uploaded. If you're brave enough to keep watching, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because the next disturbing discovery might be even worse than what you're about to see. In Mexico, there's a story that feels more like an urban legend than reality. A woman hidden away, her children cut off from the world, and a husband whose control turned into obsession. They called it the Estrella incident. Let's see the nightmare.
Let's talk about one of the most disturbing Mexican TV episodes ever aired, the 𝗀cie incident. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, this is either going to piss you off or make you cry. I don't know. In 2012, Mexican TV show 𝗀cie would be dominating the TV show space as it covered strange and wild incidents happening specifically in Latino America. However, on January 5th, 2012, the show would be celebrating its 100th episode by making an unexpected announcement that would lead to it broadcasting one of its most disturbing incidents yet, the 𝗀cie incident. Now, 𝗀cie was a woman that 𝗀cie had gotten a tip on by locals in 𝘀𝗂𝗯𝗀𝗏𝗏, Estado de Mexico, that was said to be kidnapped for 2 years by her own husband, who locked her up in a tiny room pregnant with her 2 daughters who were not allowed to go to school or have any outside communication because allegedly the husband was a religious fanatic. This information would set 𝗀𝗀𝗀 off to go outside of the studio with her crew and do horrifying. Now, immediately after, Laura would interview the terrified family that actually at first was hesitant to leave because they were afraid of the husband retaliating, leading to Laura saying, guys, when she says something against men, she actually means it. Now, at this point, you might be wondering what happened to the family. Laura would actually follow up the episode, having the mother on the show and the daughters, and allowed Estrella to tell her own story, which she basically says that the relationship didn't start off like this and it only started getting more controlling a year in. We would then be informed that Laura has gotten them a temporary safe place to stay at, as well as therapy. Laura would then state that this is actually a daily occurrence in a lot of Latina women's lives. Call out the names of women who similar incidents actually ended up in them passing away, advocating for stronger community and protections for women. Guys, listen, say what you want about Laura, but the fact that she went this far and used her power and influence to save a kidnapped family, it's unreal. Like, girl, we need you back. And yeah, that's the story of the Estrella incident. I'm genuinely just so happy that that family ended up getting saved. And I tried to look for more updates on them, but I couldn't find anything. But I genuinely hope that they're still doing all right. Anyway, stay safe and look out for one another.
That wasn't just television drama. It was a real family rescued live on air, and it still feels haunting to watch. But if you think that was intense, the next story shows an even darker side of reality. The 𝗀cie 𝗂𝗊𝗿 incident. On March 29, 2024, what started as a routine police stop in Malaysia turned into a terrifying shootout. A suspicious vehicle refused to comply, and within moments, the situation escalated into one of the most disturbing incidents caught in recent memory. Let's face the truth.
Let's discuss about
the 𝗀cie 𝗂𝗊𝗿 incident.
On March 29, 2024, the police team observed a 𝗀𝗄𝗯𝗃𝗃 vehicle behaving strangely along with Persian Harmony in Malaysia. When the cops attempted to stop the vehicle for inspection, the suspects opened fire and attempted to evade capture, leading to a shootout in which all 5 suspects were killed. The gang was known for violent tactics, including assaulting victims who resisted. The inspection of the suspect's vehicle uncovered 2 revolvers, semi-automatic pistol, machetes, iron rods, masks, and gloves, which was prepared for a robbery. This incident has prompted calls from civil society organizations for an immediate coroner's inquiry to establish the facts surrounding the use of lethal force by the cops. Concerns have been raised about the necessity and proportionality of the force used, emphasizing the importance of transparency and accountability in law enforcement operations.
That was chaotic and unsettling, a reminder of how fast a simple stop can spiral completely out of control. And while this shootout raised serious questions about justice and accountability, the next case we'll look at is disturbing in a very different way, the Mano video. Some clips on the internet feel more like urban legends than simple videos. The Victor 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃 video is one of them, a TikTok that shows a driver casually filming himself while a pale hand rests unnaturally at his side. To this day, people argue whether it was a mannequin or something much darker. Time to see it.
Let's talk about one of the creepiest videos that are on the internet right now, the Mano video. You guys will not stop sending me this, so let's talk about it. On July 6th, 2025, user Victor 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃 would upload a video that would terrify its viewers. As in the video that now stands at almost 7 million views, you'd see Victor driving and doing this.
Con estos deditos te puedo hacer cosquillitas.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? People in the comments would then ask if that's a real hand. I have chills. I'm a little bit scared. Some people doing some crazy theories, like this person said, looking through his videos, he's either on an unaliving spree or he unalived his wife and that's her hand. That's kind of crazy. But listen, guys, I did a little bit of a deep dive. And aside from this guy publicly just stating that he wants to be in a nice relationship, I think he's in one now. I'm not sure. I think that's a fake hand. Well, let's think about it, right? Like, it would be rotting at this point, right? I'm pretty sure that's like a mano que agarras para hacerte las uñas, you know, and to like practice. He installed it on his truck. Now, is that in itself creepy? Yeah, I think so. That looks horrifying. Do I think this is real? No. But do I think this is creepy? Yeah, I do think this is creepy. What do you guys think? Is this real? Is this fake? Is he just goofing on us, or are we about to be on a documentary? I hope not. Let me know.
It's unsettling because there's no real answer. Some viewers laughed it off, others spun chilling theories, but no matter what you believe, the image of that hand stays stuck in your head. It's the kind of video that feels harmless at first, until it doesn't, but this wasn't the only strange recording to leave viewers disturbed. The next story might haunt you even more, the Javier incident. It was supposed to be just another episode of La Red de To-Dos, a Mexican talk show known for drama and chaos. But in 2010, the show aired one of its wildest moments ever, when a grieving wife came on stage to mourn her husband's tragic death, only for his mistress to appear, claiming she was pregnant with his child. See it for yourself.
Let's talk about one of the craziest moments in Mexican TV history, the Javier incident. Guys, I talked about this video years ago, but so many of you guys have been asking me to cover it. And guys, I get it. This story is evil. I can't describe it. But before I show you these absolutely horrifying clips, let's break it down a little bit. In 2009, one of the most successful drama-driven TV series would be released on TV Azteca called La Hora de Todos, where you see host Laura Bozzo bring guests onto her show and interview them under crazy situations, sometimes involving into tears, arguments, or even fights. You think of like a Mexican Jerry Springer. But anyways, in 2010, La Hora para Todos would have one of the craziest moments in TV history with this episode, in which she'd have a wife appear in tears and explain that she tragically lost her husband in a horrible car accident. But unfortunately for her, she would be faced with her dead husband's mistress, a 21-year-old girl who he had gotten pregnant. Now, this is where the episode gets kind of weird, because Laura would obviously feel for the wife, grab Javier's ashes, you know, the husband, and do this.
Acá está Javier. Bueno, yo a veces converso con los muertos. La verdad yo no entiendo, Javier. De verdad, trata de explicarme, Javier, porque ¿cómo puedes hacer esta maldad? Tu esposa, a la que amabas, 21 años, Javier, con tu esposa, y encima te metes con una niña de 21 años, Javier. Embarazas a una niña de 21 años. ¿Cómo puede ser posible que tú seas capaz, Javier, de hacer semejante cosa?
Yeah, she scolded the ashes. Now, things would get even more strange when Laura would claim that she can talk to the dead and that now she is going to summon Javier. Let me just show you what happens.
Bajen las luces, señores. Este programa tiene el poder de resucitar a los muertos. ¡Que pase el muerto! ¡Que pase!
Yeah, he's alive. Obviously, the wife freaks out, goes to hug him. The mistress just faints, knocks out. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, he got exposed. Let's just get him and his wife back together. No, Javier then claims that he has amnesia. He can't remember anything because, you know, the crash did happen, according to him. That's why he pushed off his wife off of him, because he doesn't remember her. And when Laura proceeds to show him a photo of his family with his wife, he claims that he doesn't remember them. Not even his kid. So Laura, not believing any of it, proceeds to show this.
Ahí está su nueva esposa. Señora, por favor, se lo pido. Por favor, señora.
¿Cómo me puedes engañar? El fruto del trabajo de los dos.
Yeah, he started another family with another woman. Y'all, this is intricate. This is getting too crazy. So, Laura brings the third woman and basically exposes this man to hell. All I gotta say is, if you gotta fake your death to cheat, that's some crazy work. And yeah, that's the story of the Javier incident. What do you guys think? Is this real? Is this fake? Is this truly just some narrative TV goal? Or is Javier truly the most evil serial cheater in existence? Let me know. Let me know.
The episode stopped feeling like television the moment Javier walked in alive. Every new twist pushed it further from drama and closer to something grotesque, a staged nightmare disguised as entertainment. From fake deaths to broken families, disturbing stories come in many forms. The next one is no exception, the blinking 𝗀𝘃cie Cristo statue. The video spread across the internet, dividing millions between belief and doubt. Some saw a miracle, others swore it was a hoax. But it all began in 2016, when a camera inside a church in 𝗀𝘃𝗃𝗯𝗏 caught a statue of Jesus doing something no statue should. Watch at your risk.
Let's talk about one of the creepiest Mexican videos out on the internet right now, the blinking 𝗀𝗂𝗯𝗀 statue. But before I show you the creepy video, let's break it down a little bit. In 2016, in Saltillo, Coahuila, Mexico, someone would record something terrifying at their local church, La Capilla de la Catedral del Saltillo. It would later be uploaded by this user and gain millions and millions of views. And the video went viral. I mean, Primer Impacto actually covered it that same year. And Primer Impacto did a whole investigation. They had like an actual paranormal investigator say that he actually saw the man that recorded the video and saw the video for himself on the phone. And he said that the video was 100% legit. But this is where it gets tricky, because then they had a video analysis look at the video and be like, guys, this is fake. It's filtered. People were so torn up about whether this video was real or fake. I had one of the reporters, Francisco, go and visit the actual church. Now, with all of this in mind, I'm going to show you the video. Here it is. What did you think? I do have to say, there is some weird, creepy aura. I don't know if it's like the weird, like Silent Hill filter. Now, a lot of people that go to this church say that the video is real. It's a miracle. But what do you guys think? Is this real? Is this fake? Is this a miracle? Let me know. Let me know.
The most unsettling part isn't just the blink itself, but the atmosphere surrounding it. The dim light, the silence of the church, and that one unnatural movement created something far more disturbing than a simple hoax could ever achieve. Miracle or illusion, the effect is the same: unease. The next case carries that same chilling weight: Elisa Lam incident. Hotel guests complained about low water pressure, but what maintenance workers found on February 19, 2013 was far more horrifying: the body of 21-year-old Elisa Lam inside a rooftop water tank. Just weeks earlier, security footage had shown her behaving erratically in the elevator of the Cecil Hotel, a video that quickly went viral and sparked endless theories. Let's roll it.
Let's discuss about
Elisa Lam incident.
On January 28, 2013, Elisa was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles and was supposed to be checking out on the 31st. However, Elisa was acting strangely in the elevator and has strict parents who lets her travel alone or without them. But it turns out that she never checked out, nor did she call home to tell her family that she was extending her story. On February 19, 2013, the guests at the Cecil Hotel are complaining about low water pressure in the hotel. The police started investigating, and they found her body floating in the water tank on the roof. Her death was ruled as an accidental drowning, but the door to the roof was locked and had its alarm on, and the water tank was covered with heavy lids. Multiple people believe that she couldn't have opened the tank and went in on her own. To this day, her death remains an unsettling mystery.
The strangest part isn't just how she moved, but where she was eventually found. A locked rooftop, heavy lids on the tank, and alarms that should have gone off. All of it makes the accidental drowning explanation feel almost impossible to accept. Some mysteries refuse to stay buried, and Elisa's case is one of them. The next story carries that same disturbing weight: the 𝗀𝗄𝗯𝗀𝗋○ doll video. Some videos are said to be so cursed that they don't just disturb you, they can physically harm you. The 𝗀𝗄𝗯🐑 doll video is one of them. Since 2015, countless viewers have reported chest pains, nausea, and even panic attacks after watching it. One woman in Britain even claimed to have suffered a heart attack. Time to play it.
Let's talk about one of the most cursed videos out on the internet right now, the 𝗀𝗀𝗯𝗀𝗋 doll video. Now, before I show you the cursed video, I need to give you a warning because apparently 80 people felt sick after watching this video. Specifically, they had chest pains, nausea, and crippling headaches. Just letting you know, just in case. Also, apparently a British woman got a heart attack after watching this video. 𝗀𝗀𝗯𝗀𝗋 is a doll that is said to be possessed by an English woman that was born in 1946, passed from a chest-related condition. The 𝗀𝗀𝗯𝗀𝗋 started going absolutely viral in 2015 because allegedly this video caused people to get sick, to get anxiety attacks. Some even said that their computer screens froze after playing this video. Apparently, Peggy can also give you nightmares. So listen, if you're anxious, maybe don't watch this video. I'm just gonna show you the video. Here it is. Do you feel different? Are you anxious? Do you have a headache? Or are you suffering from a placebo effect, you think? Anyways, yeah, there's the video. I'm gonna be honest, I believe that things can be haunted. But watching this video, I feel okay right now. I'll tell you if I have nightmares. But yeah, do you guys think this video is truly haunted? Or do you think a bunch of people are just suffering from the placebo effect? I don't know about that though, because if there was a woman that had a heart attack after watching this, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know.
Whether it's a genuine curse or the power of suggestion, the unease is real. The doll's blank stare, combined with the story surrounding it, makes the experience feel heavier than just watching an ordinary video. Cursed objects, haunted footage, unexplained effects, the internet is full of them. The next case is another disturbing example, 𝗴cie mannequin. For nearly a century, people in Chihuahua, Mexico have whispered the same legend. In 1930, a mannequin appeared in the window of a bridal shop, but it didn't look like any mannequin they'd ever seen. With its lifelike skin, veins, and nails, many swore it wasn't a mannequin at all, but the embalmed body of the shop owner's daughter, who had tragically died on her wedding day. Here it comes.
Let's talk about one of the most terrifying legends from Mexico, La Pascualita mannequin. Now, before I show you the creepy videos of this mannequin, let me break down the story a little bit. It was March 25th, 1930, when Pascuala Esparza's bridal shop in Chihuahua, Mexico, placed a very realistic looking mannequin on its storefront. Now, people immediately noticed that it looked a little too eerily familiar to the shop owner's daughter, who had just passed away from a scorpion bite on her wedding day. Now, coupled with how much it looked like her, how it was wearing a wedding dress, and how it had realistic looking set of hands and nails and veins, people started to speculate that the shop owner went crazy after his daughter's unaliving, wanted to keep her memory alive, and decided to embalm her body and prop her up for everyone to see her beauty and commemorate her. According to legend, obviously. Then it would be in the early 2000s that people would be more horrified of her because of this video. Now I'm gonna show you the video, but you need to look very close because it's one of those potato quality videos. It was recorded like in the early 2000s, okay? But in the video, you see La Pascualita smile. And guys, this was before filters, okay? Just take that in mind, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna show you the video. Here it is. Now, our favorite Mexican paranormal TV show, Extra Normal, went to Chihuahua to investigate and basically asked the citizens if they have seen anything weird with La Pascualita. And the citizens in Chihuahua claim that sometimes they don't see the mannequin there, or that it would be moved from its position, and sometimes they apparently even see a woman in a wedding dress walking around the streets in the middle of the night, while La Pascualita is not in the front of the store. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this story is a little bit heartwarming, because it's kind of like a tragic story. And if it is true that this is not a mannequin, it's actually a body, and the dad felt so heartbroken that he wanted to show off his daughter's beauty in what could have been basically a bride, it's a little bit heartwarming. But I'm gonna be honest, if I was her, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. But what do you guys think? Legend or hoax? Let me know.
The unsettling part lies in the contradiction. To some, La Pascualita is a tragic tribute from a grieving father. To others, she's a grotesque display that never should have existed. That tension between devotion and horror is what makes the mannequin so unforgettable. Like a shadow frozen in glass, La Pascualita still stares back at everyone who dares to look. The next case, however, refuses to still at all, the box demon. It was an ordinary evening in Pennsylvania when a stranger appeared at someone's doorstep. Wearing a flower mask and calling himself the box demon, the 38-year-old intruder was captured entirely on the home's Ring security camera. What should have been just a quiet night turned into a disturbing encounter. Don't look away now.
Let's discuss about
the box demon.
On March 11, 2025, a 38-year-old shows up to someone's house in Pennsylvania wearing a flower mask. They call themselves the box demon. What makes it disturbing is that it's all caught on the Ring cam, the security camera outside the house. Here's the clip. Fun fact, this picture is a reference to a popular Roblox game called Dandy's World. To Dandy's World fans watching right now, what are your thoughts on this news and how do y'all feel about this? Comment your opinion below.
The behavior is bizarre, almost theatrical, muttering strange phrases, referencing video games, and wearing a mask that feels more unsettling than playful. It's the kind of footage that doesn't just confuse you. It lingers in your head like a scene from a nightmare you can't explain. If an unexpected visitor at your door can be this disturbing, imagine what happens when the horror isn't outside, but already inside. That's exactly what the next case reveals, the Valeria Marquez incident. It began as something ordinary, a TikTok live stream from a beauty salon with Valeria Marquez smiling and chatting happily with her fans. But in just moments, that ordinary scene would turn into one of the most disturbing tragedies ever broadcast online. Now watch the curse.
Let's talk about
the Valeria Marquez live stream incident.
If you haven't heard about this incident, watch this video. This happened in Mexico. It all started with a woman named Valeria, who was live streaming normally on TikTok from her beauty salon. She seemed very happy at the time, talking with her fans. However, a stranger, apparently pretending to be a delivery person, entered the salon and gave her a gift. But the gift was just a trick to get close to her. Then, the stranger pulled out a gun and shot her multiple times. After that, the murderer turned off the live stream. The video left many people in shock. Soon, everyone was talking about the incident and sharing it all over social media, about how Valeria was shot live on TikTok. May Valeria rest in peace. Stay safe out there.
The horror wasn't only in what happened, but in how many people saw it unfold in real time. Viewers expected laughter and beauty tips. Instead, they witnessed a crime that should never have been broadcast. The internet didn't just spread the clip. It turned shock into collective grief. Like a screen shattering in an instant, moments of joy can collapse into horror without warning. The next case is a chilling reminder of that truth, the Thailand earthquake incident. In March 2025, Thailand woke up to chaos. Buildings cracked open, water spilled from rooftop pools, and bridges connecting skyscrapers snapped in two. The cause was a massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake centered in Myanmar, powerful enough to shake more than half of Thailand's provinces. The clip begins here.
Let's discuss about
the Thailand earthquake incident.
On March 28, 2025, a powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck central Myanmar near Mandalay, causing significant tremors across Southeast Asia, including Thailand. The earthquake led to the collapse of a 33-story skyscraper under construction in the Chatakak district. This disaster resulted at least 18 fatalities and 33 injuries in the city. The tremors were felt across 56 of Thailand's 76 provinces, with damage reported in 13 provinces, including primarily in the north and around Bangkok. Therefore, sky bridges connecting luxury apartment towers were severed, and the water spilled from rooftop pools due to the shaking. Hospitals were also impacted. For instance, Rajaviti Hospital in Bangkok evacuated patients from its 25-story building due to structural cracks. They're also relocating them to a sports hall and transferring 160 patients to other facilities. This earthquake underscores the region's vulnerability to seismic events and highlights the importance of preparedness and international cooperation in disaster response.
Watching the skyscraper collapse and hospitals evacuating patients shows just how fragile a city can be. In seconds, a routine day turned into disaster, reminding everyone that even towering structures and modern systems can crumble without warning. Nature has its own way of reminding us how little control we truly have. But the next case shows that sometimes it isn't nature we should fear most. Elisa Lam incident. Guests at the Cecil Hotel began complaining that the water was turning black and tasted strange. When staff finally checked the rooftop tanks on February 19, 2013, they discovered the body of 21-year-old Elisa Lam floating inside. Just days earlier, hotel cameras recorded Elisa behaving in a way that remains unexplained.
Let's talk about
Elisa Lam incident.
Elisa Lam was known for behaving strangely in the elevator. She has strict parents who sometimes wouldn't let her travel alone or without them. But one day, she was thrilled to be able to travel to downtown Los Angeles by herself. She arrived in Los Angeles on January 26, 2013, and checked into the Cecil Hotel on January 28. On January 31, 2013, she disappeared from the hotel. Her parents were worried and tried to contact her, but couldn't reach her. They reported her missing, but there was no sign of her for weeks. Meanwhile, guests at the Cecil Hotel started complaining about the water being black and having an unusual taste. The hotel staff investigated, and on February 19, 2013, they found Elisa Lam's body was found floating in the hotel's water tank on the roof. There were no signs of trauma, and the initial conclusion was an accidental death. However, footage from the hotel elevator showed Elisa acting strangely. She was pressing multiple buttons, and seemed disoriented and distressed. This strange behavior added to the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Some people believed she was playing a game, while others thought she might be hiding from someone or being chased. We may never know why she acted that way. Stay safe.
Her case became infamous not just because of where she was found, but because nothing about it made sense. The elevator footage showed panic without a pursuer, fear without an enemy, details that make the official explanation of an accident feel incomplete at best. The Cecil Hotel has seen countless disturbing stories, but Elisa's remains the one people can't let go. The next case carries that same unshakable sense of dread, Selene Delgado Lopez incident. In the 1990s, Mexican television often interrupted programs with public service announcements about missing people. Most were brief, routine, and quickly forgotten. But one name, Selene Delgado Lopez, became infamous after her broadcast appeared during a children's show and displayed an image that viewers described as deeply unsettling. Let's roll the nightmare.
Let's talk about
Selene Delgado.
In the 1990s, a Mexican television channel broadcasted information about missing people. These broadcasts often appearing during commercial breaks, aimed to spread awareness of missing individuals. Each broadcast featured the person's name, age, and date they went missing. One particular broadcast, however, people were shocked. The broadcast of Selene Delgado, a woman who went missing on April 22 in Lavaro, Obregón, Mexico City, was allegedly interrupted during a children's television show. Her photo was replaced with an unsettling image. Here's a video.
Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón. Selene Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000. Selene Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón.
People were shocked because of this. It was interrupted by this man. And thousands of children were horrified.
The more people tried to investigate, the stranger it became. Some claimed there were no real records of Selene Delgado's disappearance, while others swore they remembered seeing her face countless times on TV. The incident sits somewhere between fact and fabrication, too vague to confirm, yet too disturbing to ignore. These were only fragments of the disturbing world online. There's more, much more. Hit like, click subscribe, and join me on the next deep dive. And if you're brave enough, come hang out when I go live, because that's when things get even darker.